shoulder to shoulder with your fabulous caller. Elif, from my country, the Welsh Government doesn't have a clue about us ordinary folk and needs to be abolished. Something else that perhaps doesn't need to be abolished is me. So I'm very much hoping that I will be back on Talk very soon. So it's Kevin O'Sullivan. He's going to be back on Monday at 7 o'clock from his holiday. If you want to follow me on the socials to find out when I'm next on, you can do so. It's at the James Max. And you'll find me both on Instagram and indeed X. Meanwhile, thank you very much indeed for all your calls over the last couple of weeks. It's been absolutely fabulous. Meanwhile, Ash and indeed Andre, they are next here on Talk.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Yes, this is The Late Show. Well, no, actually, it's not The Late Show. It's, oh, my God, I've got to get my hair cut tomorrow. I'm starting to look like Don King. Yeah. It's absolutely dreadful. Yeah. OK, this is the James Whale Show featuring Ash.
Starring Ash.
Yeah. James is a little bit ill at the moment. Now, as you know, he's had the cancer for a long time. He's been beating it, raised loads of money for charity, got the MBE this time last year for services to those charities. Actually, on this occasion, he's got the flu, but as you can imagine, he's got a weakened immune system. Ergo, it's not a great thing to have in his condition.
No reason. All right. I've been messaging me.
Yeah, no reason to be overly worried is the most important thing to say. Although he sent a message, but I do warn you, obviously, because he's got the flu, he doesn't sound his usual self. So why don't we play that message and then we'll chat about other stuff.
Well, here I am in hospital, having a marvellous time. I can't tell you. Really should be out there keeping Ash under control. But my lovely wife is sitting here, just keeping an eye on me.
I am?
You are. Anyway, in the meantime, I will leave you in the expert hands of Mr. Asher Gould. And hopefully I'll be back on the air, Talk TV and radio, very, very soon.
Yeah, hopefully next week.
Actually,
Paribus.
I'll be totally honest with you. He sounded a lot better than I was expecting, given that he had flu and he's got.
He's done shows that when he sounds like that anyway, because you don't get paid in this gig if you don't do the show, and his voice has been worse than it. Like that. Call me James Whale. Like,
do you know what? We used to go to Hindley swimming baths, and
like you and Whale.
Next up, we can imagine we're both a bit.
Come on, Andre, get your cosy on.
He's called Whale, whereas my body's like a whale. If I can't go swimming off the coast of Japan, they'll harpoon me. But there was this woman in the chippy next door to Hindley swimming pool, and we used to call her Wrinkles for obvious reasons, but she used to talk like that. You know some trips, right, love?
Love Phyllis from Coronation Street.
I think she'd been on the Woodbines since about 1953 or something like that.
I saw Phyllis once from Coronation. You remember the girl with the woman with the purple hair? You can't call her a girl. I mean, and I saw her. I went, oh hello, and she went, oh hello, love, how are you?
My mum used to work in Salford, and she always used to go to what was it, like the Sainsbury's in Salford, where people from Coronation Street always used to arrive.
Oh yeah.
And for whatever reason, she didn't know what the actors' names were, so she used to go, "Hey Dev, what's going on in the street?"
That's to all of them. They get annoyed by that, don't they, when that happens?
Anyway, we're joined today by Oli London, who is author of Gender Madness, who is just back from Thailand. Now, I have to say, genuinely, loads of people have said that you've had, all this plastic surgery to look more feminine. I think you look better every time you become more and more like a bloke.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've been working on myself, and I have just been in Thailand. Most people that go to Thailand, they actually become girls.
You're going the other way. You're detransitioning, because you did transition when you were starting to, and then you changed your mind.
Exactly. So I'm actually going the other way. And, I've been focusing on healthy living. I've been going to the gym a lot. I did do a procedure in Thailand, which was more just to tone up my body, because I go to the gym every day since I detransitioned, and, I work out 5 hours a day, but I had a lot of stubborn fat.
So do us a favour. I mean, loads of people on this channel know all about you and the unfortunate situation you were in, whereby you didn't have a lot of confidence, and then you started on this journey of, people laughed at you at the time, but actually I felt quite sorry for you, becoming a Korean woman. Yeah, okay.
It does sound crazy now. I laugh at myself. Very specific. I will laugh at myself now.
You never had the full chop or anything like that. Thank God.
Thank God.
Thank God. Why
There's no coming back.
Do us a favour. Tell us a story. You've got about 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, so for those that know the story already, I did undergo a lot of surgeries in the past to try and change my identity completely. I had a big fascination with K-pop, and, I still love K-pop, but I'm not obsessed like I used to be.
Korean pop, lot music.
Korean pop. And, I wanted to change myself. I used to get bullied at school. I, questioned my gender identity, so I underwent these procedures initially trying to look a little bit more like a K-pop star, and then I wasn't satisfied, so then I had more surgeries, and then I thought, maybe my issue is with my gender identity. So I then had facial feminization.
Did you get talked into that, by the way? Did you go and see it and they go, oh, yeah, you should transition?
There were doctors that like plastic surgeons that would go to, and they would just be very happy to do the procedure without doing an analysis of, how you're feeling inside. Turkey.
Turkey, okay. No, well, I can see from the team.
You can tell Turkey.
I'm being totally honest. But they're not real. But anyway, you go in and you say, I've decided to... on a serious note, people will be laughing at home, but there is a serious side of this. You go, I want to become a Korean woman, and a surgeon in Turkey goes, yeah, fine.
That's basically it, yeah.
With North Korea or South Korea?
South.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
We'd have to lose about 4 foot of your height.
Definitely, yeah. You can't be taller than Kim Jong-un.
When was the...
You can't be fatter than Kim Jong-un.
When was the realisation that this was all just a disaster?
Well, it was like 2.5 years ago when I realised, I was going down a path that was very self-destructive, and it wasn't making me happy. So I actually kind of stopped all of this transformation and transition. I just decided to live as myself, and, I've been focusing on trying to be more masculine recently, and, like I said, going to the gym a lot, shaved my hair off, and, I don't wear makeup anymore. And,
but what was the point that you go, right, I'm reversing?
It was actually, I felt like I was at the end of the road. I was doing so many crazy different changes.
You realised you were doing it for other reasons or something like that?
Yeah, I realised it wasn't actually making me happy, and I was trying to pursue something and become somebody I wasn't.
But there is the big concern, isn't it? Because you're unhappy, you get bullied at school, you don't feel that you look right or whatever. the surgery is not the solution. You feel like it's the solution. That's what worries me with so many kids, because we're persuading them to believe that transitioning is the answer, whereas actually in some respects the answer is just to be happy with yourself. I mean, I've got a mate who turned to me and said, you know, you have to accept me for who I am, and I thought, without being funny, you know, you're trying to lop off your own private parts. I mean, that's not accepting yourself,
It's
is
a
it?
fashion as well. You know, you look at the schoolgirls and, you know, there's 7 of them in a class. It's become cool, and it gets you the attention, and there's much more people who are on the spectrum who go for this sort of thing, aren't there?
100%. There's a lot of people that have autism, a lot of times undiagnosed, and
Much
they're being
more
told...
proportionately.
Yes, and they're being told that they are the wrong gender and wanting to change. You know, it's kids go through different phases and stuff, but at the end of the day, we shouldn't be encouraging kids to try and change who they are.
Do you think it's gay people who are a lot of, well, not all of them, but do you think a lot of it is, oh, I'm not gay, I'm in the wrong sex, and they're sort of trying to, you know,
I think a lot of, you know, maybe young people, they're struggling with their sexuality, maybe they're gay or lesbian, and they're being told that, no, you're non-binary, you're they, them, you're trans, when they're actually maybe just gay, you know, and I think that's actually causing harm to gay people. It's like you're telling them to be trans, and, you know, we shouldn't be telling kids to do anything. They should just be kids and, you know, enjoy your life, be happy, and try to encourage them to be confident.
I just worry with this. I mean, I don't... A lot of people think a lot of these people are perverts, but I'm not as sure. I think that a lot of the people that are trying to get kids into transgenderism in primary school are just trying to justify their own beliefs by saying, oh, look, 5-year-olds are well into it. You know, and I think it's dangerous.
Young kids who've got no idea about that.
But now we've seen so much research. I mean, there was the CAS report last year, which basically showed, you know, puberty blockers are harmful, and now there's a general consensus.
Who knew that chemical castration was harmful?
Who would have guessed that? But, you know, all the people that were fighting for these children were speaking about that, and they were being told they're transphobic, you know, they're bigoted, and you know, now it's actually proven that what people knew all along, that it's actually very harmful to do that.
And the mutilations of the people, you know, this is like unbelievable.
How painful has it been for you physically? Because I mean, I don't know how far. I mean, did you get breasts? I mean.
So I didn't get breasts, but when I was younger, I had like a condition called gynecomastia, which a lot of men tend to have. It's kind of when you have like man boobs.
Yeah.
And you know, so
and it's not as a result of just pies.
It's not, and you know, you can do
beer
everything.
does it though. Apparently, beer can make you grow breasts.
And soya milk. Apparently,
there's some footage of Ollie if you're watching.
This is my latest surgery.
What's they doing here? They're taking out stuff, aren't they?
So I basically had 5 litres of fat removed because I was going to the gym every day.
From your chest?
From my whole body. So
whole
hips,
body.
the back, the stomach. And basically, this was at an amazing clinic in Thailand, at SLC clinic. And basically, my issue was I was going to the gym 5 hours a day. I've been going for a year. And I wasn't seeing, literally 5 hours a day. I wasn't seeing any improvement. Yeah. So I went to Thailand to have vasolipo, which basically is, it's a surgery, but it's less invasive. It basically sucks the fat out of, you know, they cut
like
the incision. Yeah, and they actually got rid of 5 litres of fat, and, you know,
How many litres do you reckon they get out of me?
I'm not a doctor.
Couple of gallons.
I'm not a doctor, but yeah, you know, I'm sure.
I mean, McDonald's won't need any.
Maybe it's worth. I mean, you could
use that to cook the French fries.
You can run a car on fat, can't you?
You can. You know, maybe
can you imagine if I had liposuction? Where is it? SL?
So it's SLC clinic in Thailand. I'll bring you.
Okay,
bring us the brochure.
We'll do a talkTV exclusive.
So I go to SLC clinic in Thailand.
Other clinics do.
And I go.
This is the best one.
And I go. Look, A, the cost of car fuel has gone up, and B, I am a porker. Yeah. Can we deal with both?
I mean, they can do miracles. And, you know, people tend to think, you know, especially when you have a body surgery that's very scary and painful, but with this particular clinic, because of the skill of the doctors, I actually didn't have pain.
But hang on a second, but you are also a surgery addict, so you're very positive about this surgery.
Yeah, but I've had bad experiences before.
What sort of a place is good to go to, and what sort of a place is bad to go to?
Well, so, believe it or not, I've been to, I think, 7 countries for surgery.
What? And they are?
Can I remember? So America, Korea, China, Thailand, Turkey, Armenia, Poland.
Armenia?
Never the UK.
I've never had surgery in the UK.
No.
Weird.
That says something.
But yeah, so I've gone to all these surgeries around the world, and some have been very painful. Like Turkey, I found very painful. Turkey, I was also left with very severe scars. Whereas I find in...
I've noticed them when you've got your hair short.
I'm going to get rid of them. Basically, that's from when I had the facial feminization. I basically had a facelift, and they cut everything open. But they shouldn't have left such severe scars.
But you've got your hair over it now.
I do, but it bothers me.
He takes the mick out of the way I say hair.
Hair.
You don't say it like her anymore, that I've made you sort of...
But yeah, no, I'm obviously feeling 5 litres lighter and feeling a lot happier. And, you know, it's something that I really needed to do because there are many people that just, you can't get rid of the fat no matter what you do.
So it's about a stone you've lost, I would have thought.
About that, I've lost, I'm normally 32 inches with jeans, I'm now 28 inches, and I'm normally...
Same as me, yeah.
With tops, I normally wear, like, sweaters that are, like, large or medium. Now I'm in small, and, you know, it's... I mean, I'm still wearing a compression vest, but you can kind of see it's like it's a lot...
You mean a corset?
Well, yeah, it's kind of... I can't take it off at the moment because it's just keeping everything tight. But basically,
so is that so you just don't go and just
the scar? You got to keep the scars.
But actually, the scars are very minimal because the doctors they basically make very small incisions. So I have about 2 here, 2 on the back, and 2, 3, I think about 6 or 7. But they'll basically reduce in size, and I've got scar cream. But they did such a good job, and it's like I said, it wasn't painful. The recovery's been amazing.
And you're awake during it?
No, of course you're asleep. Yeah,
no, because you could have the local, but I suppose you'd hear all the...
There are some surgeries that offer local, but for something like for a 7-hour procedure, you'd want to be under the knife, and you know, also you don't want to be able to like wake up and see what's going on.
What about Ozempic?
Yeah, would that have done it?
Well, Ozempic actually, you know, has I don't know, I think it has a lot of bad side effects because it's for people with diabetes, and we've seen, you know, Sharon Osbourne's been very open about it. She got very nauseous and she was sick a lot. You've got in Hollywood, you know, a lot of celebrities like Jessica Simpson, they're saying she's on it. And
you can see all the people that are on it because they look like a skeleton.
You can see, and you know, they have that kind of Ozempic face with the jawline and stuff, and you know, there's a lot of people warning about it because
what's the Ozempic face?
It's when you basically like that's it. When you look very gaunt, like your cheeks are sucked in.
Oh yeah, we've got one contributor on this channel who looks like Zelda from the Terrorhawks.
Who's that?
I'm not saying which one. But he's really he looks like Skeletor.
Oh god, I'm gonna have to research who this is. But yeah, that's
we'll just tell you in the break.
That's a big trend at the moment. It's actually now in the UK you've got Ozempic and Wegovy, and some people actually buy it online. But you know, it's risky because there is not enough.
We'll always go through your doctor here, you know, in the UK.
Well, I thought of doing one of those, but then I thought the reason I'm a big fat git is the amount of drinks. So I've just given up boozing.
Oh, have you? Well done. Is that your New Year's resolution?
Yeah, you'd be better off having the Ozempic and carrying on drinking.
Hang on, didn't you say you've just got a cocktail machine for Christmas?
Yeah, no, it was a bit of a...
How's that going to work?
Bit of a shitter, if I'm being totally
honest. It works very well.
Yeah, the cocktail machine does work very well. Not that I benefit.
Tried and tested.
Not that I benefit. I suspect the person that bought me the cocktail machine knew full bloody well I was giving up drinking.
I mean, you do transition, what percentage? Because I remember hearing, you know, there's now loads of people coming back. And so obviously they were told the wrong thing, that they were the wrong sex. So what's the percentage now?
Well, you know, you won't get the official percentage because basically, specifically in America, all of the clinics that perform these surgeries, if there's somebody that detransitions, the clinics don't want to know them. They just want to, sorry, we can't help you. You've done the surgery. It's not our problem. So basically, because they want to keep their statistics low. So on their official records, it looks like there's a 1% detransition rate. But there are thousands and thousands.
But can't you sue them then and say, well, look, you got this wrong? I suppose you have to sign forms.
You have to sign a consent form, but there are free detransitioning young women that were teens at the time. They're actually suing several hospitals in the US.
Well, they all get together.
Yeah, and they've got, you know, the same law firm. So if that's successful, that would obviously change the game.
Party action.
But what you're talking about, which is lack of self-confidence, bullying at school, not really sure what you wanted to be, who you wanted to be, as a reason for transitioning.
Yeah.
Inevitably, you detransition. It's just inevitable, isn't it?
Well, there are, of course, people that generally transition. They're very happy, you know, but there are, now what we're seeing is young people that, because it's a trend, they're all going along the trend, and down the line they're going to realise that that's a big mistake.
I've got to be honest with you, I heard a psychiatrist say to me, have you noticed that nobody's a goth anymore and nobody self-harms?
Well, it's because they're all trans and non-binary. Yeah, that's exactly, right. And that's what I've noticed as well. Is
there
that's
aren't
the
any
current
youth
trends.
cultures anymore, you know.
Because what happens is there is a fad mental illness. Now, bluntly, if you're deeply unhappy and you can't find the reason, you'll jump on the fad. The fad originally was being a goth, then it was being an emo, then it was self-harming, and now it's being non-binary.
Which can cause irreversible side effects.
Yeah, bluntly, being an emo and looking a bit like Damon Albarn isn't going to do that much harm,
It's all just, you know, dyeing your hair and stuff, whereas this trend is actually when you've actually got kids cutting off body parts in certain states in America when they can do it at 15, that's the harm. And when they're taking irreversible hormones, that's the problem. You know, it's no longer just a trend that's cool in school. This is something that's very, very harmful, and it's going to have a long-term life impacts on these kids.
What would you say to parents now? A lot of them have to go along with it. They're forced to.
They do, but but I think the tide is changing. You know, of course, you've got J.K. Rowling and many other people that have been outspoken for years, but I think the tide is changing now. It's actually, you know, people have realised it's very harmful, and I think people are more outspoken, and before people were afraid to speak up because you get called transphobic. And
but isn't it still very popular? Isn't it still all going on?
It's still happening a lot in schools at the moment, it is. But, you know, with the things like the Cass report and, you know, the banning of puberty blockers in this country...
By Mama Cass.
Huh?
That's a comment he'd make.
Because they're not. I mean, they're not puberty blockers. They're hormone blockers. So they block the whole. It's not just your.
They block your development,
your
basically.
Heart development, your muscular, and are carcinogenic in many years.
So down the line, you know, kids can have, you know, heart issues. They can have blood clot issues, and
cancer from
bone growth issues because they're blocking, you know, their growth.
Osteoporosis.
Exactly. So that's the real harm of that. So yeah, that's the thing. You know, if you're an adult, you can do what you want, but you know, it's good for adults also to make informed decisions and not rush into something because it's a trend and actually do it. You know, I've learned that from my, you know, record of experience, a lot of surgeries.
Do you know a lot of others who've detransitioned?
Yeah, there's a lot, mostly women actually. Most of the people that transition these days are actually women. And, you know, they identify as men, and they're the ones actually cutting off their breasts and body parts.
But
and that's the trend at the moment.
You lose sexual function if you change from a man to a woman,
Absolutely.
and a woman to a man. And you lose a lot of desire because you lose hormonal
Well,
stuff.
not just that, specifically if they have the surgery. So
and you're sterile as well.
Yes, there is the concern in that. But yeah, if you basically chop off body parts and changing them up, there's a lot of incontinence issues, a lot of bleeding.
It's a permanent, open wound that you always have to...
It is, and they have to use dilators.
Immune, like when you have kidneys, put new kidneys.
And they don't realise, you know, even adults, they do the surgery, they don't realise that. So it's important to make informed decisions and, you know, to go to if you're an adult and you're really sure about that, to go to the right people to help you speak about that.
Yeah, I mean, they don't. Even the surgeons, they sort of don't. They don't have a fixed surgery on making, you know, a person a man or a man. They go, oh, let's have a look what we've got here, and sort of. Yeah. It's all very experimental.
It is.
But I mean, it's so obvious to someone who's not qualified that we're not at that stage in, you know, scientific development that we can start messing around with intricate parts.
Yeah.
But yet they're doctors. They go, oh no, don't worry, we know this, and they all sort of it's group think.
Yeah.
Because they're more qualified than us, we can just see it's a load of, but they sort of are talking shop and they all back each other up.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you get a nose surgery or a breast surgery, you can always fix that and get a new one. But with something like that, you can't fix it.
How popular are you amongst your old compatriots?
Not very. Not very, but...
the K-pop community?
No, well, I don't know. I still, you know, I still love K-pop and stuff. I'm still making my TikToks.
I'm not talking about the K-pop people. I'm talking about the trans people.
Yeah, the K-pop community, you're fine.
But on the serious note, you've made... You tried transitioning, it didn't work for you, you detransitioned, and you've warned people that transitioning might be a mistake. What you've done is not that extreme in terms of, from their perspective.
Compared to some people,
but they think that you're literally like Satan.
Oh, absolutely. And look, and again, I'm always like, you know, I always try to be very balanced, and I try to stick up for all people. You know, I also try to stick up for trans people that have been trans for 20, 30 years. You know, someone like Caitlyn Jenner that, you know, have been living their life in peace, and now all of a sudden their life is difficult because you've got all these trans activists, you know, suddenly going into women's toilets.
I'll tell you something. I've banned a lot of the trans activists from my shows. The reason is they don't represent anyone other than themselves.
And they're very angry. You notice that they can't have a conversation, and that doesn't help their cause at all.
Yeah, I think there's a large level of... my concern was, I got the impression, I don't know these people, that a lot of them were genuinely mentally ill. That's not the trans bit. Yeah. The bits that the people that are coming on my show.
They've got other
They're genuinely mentally ill. They're kicking off. They don't really represent anyone. I mean, if I just phoned up and said, I'd like to talk about, I don't know, being gingerly grey or whatever, then you know, Talk Sport would tell me to get lost, right? But these people, if you phone up going, oh, I want to gob off about trans issues, all the channels will stick you on, and I think it's dangerous.
It is when you're constantly pushing that ideology, and it's also when they're shutting down debate from the other side, when they can't even have a conversation with a women's rights campaigner.
Well, they're physically aggressive, aren't they?
Very aggressive. I mean, you know, must be all that testosterone.
That's a male trait.
Must be all the testosterone they're taking, you know, which, you know, the hormones, if you take high levels of hormones, it does make you a little crazy and angry. So
tell me, you've got to go in a couple of minutes. Is it true a Catwoman has died?
Yeah, it's actually, you know, I find her a fascinating person, but she actually died at the age of 84 from a pulmonary embolism, and basically she had an issue with her blood and her legs. She got some blood clots, but basically she died in her Paris hotel. Claiming to be broke. She was on an Australian show a few weeks ago, and she basically said she was living off $900 social security, which is basically like income support. And she actually got $2.5 billion in her initial divorce settlement. And then she got $100 million a year for 13 years. But actually, what came out yesterday in the Daily Mail, she was actually in Miami. A judge had issued basically an order for police to arrest her if she returned to Miami where she lived, because basically she had outstanding debts of $322,000. So even though she had all those billions, where did the money go? And, you know, people say it clearly went on the surgery.
How old was she? She was 80-something.
She was 84, but she, you know, even towards her death, she denied having any surgery.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can I
just a bad diet.
My understanding is that this is the way.
Like Bell Selector.
this is the way you would say it.
Yeah.
That's what you describe as a unsatisfactory post-operative result.
It is, but also that's obviously somebody that's deeply unhappy with who they are.
That's an addiction.
That's an addiction. That's a very serious addiction. You know, you can see she's been doing this for decades, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we saw Joan Rivers, the famous comedian, also had a lot of surgery. She died during a procedure. So you know, if you do dozens and dozens of surgery, especially when you're that old,
and that was an easy procedure. She just did it with a basic.
But she looks. But I mean, I don't want to speak ill the dead, but she is a phenomenally ugly woman in that picture.
She had a
cat's like.
She is.
I mean, they called her Catwoman because basically her ex-husband was obsessed with big cats, and when they were going through their divorce, it was claimed that she had surgery to look like a cat, so he'd take her back.
I think she's got done all right. She looks like.
She's definitely got the cat look.
But that is somebody who's been exploited by doctors. And when I say she's ugly, I mean I'm not criticising the woman. She is the victim of an industry that's out of control.
And they're willing to take her money, and they obviously knew she wasn't well.
If you looked at her and she said, "I need more surgery," you'd say, "You need a psychiatrist."
You would, but she's got the money, so I guess the doctors just take the money.
But that's what you were saying. Exactly. Doctors across the world will agree to do anything. I mean, I've been.
Well, that's why these celebs have their private docs, like Michael Jackson. And when he says, "I want this drug," you either say yes or you're fired, and you're making $1 million.
And he used to go to that Dr. Arnold Klein for sedatives.
And that was stuff he should only take in an operating hospital.
But he was just going every day.
And all the celebs have their own private.
By the way, you criticise some of my pronunciations. Did you see the video of that doctor who said, "I told the truth, I had faith in the truth"? And you go, isn't that, "I told the truth, I had faith in the truth"?
Well, he was Irish. That's how
I told the truth, I had faith in the truth. Interesting. Oli, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, guys.
What's that? Compression vest.
It's called a compression garment, so I've got to wear it for another month and a half, but it basically just helps.
Can I borrow it after you?
Yeah, of course you can.
Will you fall apart if you take it off?
You won't, but basically it helps tighten skin, because even after surgery you still have some flabs of skin, so it'll just tighten everything.
You can have that cut off and tied up a bit.
Yeah, well, I'll save it for you, Ash. It's an extra small size, but if you can...
Oh, I need a bit smaller now. I'll have it taken in.
Can you breathe properly?
Yeah, it's absolutely like I feel normal. I use it in the gym and stuff. It just helps, tone everything up, and it is important to wear it, but I feel great. I mean,
you look good, man.
The same week I had surgery, I was on the beach at a fireworks festival at a party, and that was...
What was the compression suit?
Yeah, I had bandages.
He pretended he was a diver in a wetsuit.
I felt that's how good I felt. So, but thank you very much, guys. Good to see you.
All right, well, we will be back with Andrew Eborn talking about all the big issues of the day, the truth about grooming gangs, among other things.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
Our next guest, who is...
Start again from the beginning.
We need mics. What do you mean?
Well, they weren't on the mics.
Oh.
You could just see us. So, a tech-op's not here, of course.
Oh.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's pointing
Where
perfect.
you get that useless lazy
Luckily, the TV
yeah,
people know how to do it.
Sit down. What's he doing? He's gone for a shit. No.
Not that quick.
So, was that Matt Thornton who'd just gone for a big dump? Right.
Yeah, he went to...
well, that's no excuse.
The breaks aren't long enough these days.
No excuse. OK, this hair has got to go. It's just a disgrace. OK, right. Come on, let's introduce Andrew Eborn, who's
Hello.
our guest. How are you?
I'm amazing. Lovely to see you. Brand new year. Happy New Year. I think you can keep saying that till July, can't you?
Yeah, just keep
That's
going.
certainly
Just
good.
do it all year.
Yeah, 2025.
Why not, man? So what's going on? What did you do, man? New Year?
Well, I was here I did the James Whale Christmas show, which is fantastic.
That's right, yeah.
With you.
Well, I recorded that 6 months ago.
No, but don't tell people.
Oh, yeah,
that.
no, it's all about...
on television. I was back with Andre on what was it, Boxing Day.
You were?
And
Yeah,
then I did
recorded
time.
that. Oh, no, you
and I
didn't.
did Times Radio on Christmas Eve. So it's all been a Talk News UK glorious festivities. That's what I had.
Fantastic.
Indeed. OK, I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
It's a bit of breaking news tonight. Nigel Farage has said that whilst he welcomes Tommy Robinson's support because he's a hero, he wouldn't let him into the party, right or wrong?
Well, I think he's missing a real opportunity because Elon Musk has been advocating...
Oh, God, here we go. No. Right, we're not doing it.
What?
We're not doing it.
Elon Musk is on his show regularly.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Every day, absolutely, it is good. But I won't mention that because Ash has mentioned... No, the reality is this. He's made a mistake. Tommy Robinson is basically in horrendous conditions in jail as a result of breaching a court order.
A civil offence.
It was a civil offence. And so what happened, it was about contempt of court because they said you mustn't show this particular programme, silenced and so on and so forth, but because of the defamation action and so on and so forth. He did. He broadcast it. It's still available for people to see. Elon's been retweeting links to it and everything else. Do I think it's wrong? Absolutely, because he's missing the golden opportunity to say, look, it's about freedom of speech. There's certain things that you need to talk about, and there's lots of supporters there. There are real issues that we're being pushed under the carpet at the moment because people are not addressing them.
So let me tell you my view on Tommy Robinson and others.
Yes.
So first of all, is he a mortgage fraudster? Well, he was convicted of it, but funnily enough, I'm not getting financial advice off him, so I'm not overly worried about that. My issue is this. I think in any political debate you've got to be open.
Yes.
I think also what you've got to do, it's always helpful to have somebody who can effectively codify the concerns of a particular group, express it, bring them together, because that is the starting point for dealing with the problems. You've got a spokesman, he commands support, he understands what the issue is. So I think that in reality, someone like Tommy Robinson is a useful thing for the establishment to have, because suddenly it's not just ill-focused grumbles as an actual complaint.
No, you absolutely, and you need to... The problem is this, and it's two extremes, isn't it? It's one turning around and say, absolutely, we have the laws in this country, you need to comply with those. So he was made an example of.
Yes.
And it's exactly... And
is he a political prisoner?
You would turn around, and I talk about sentencing all of the time. Why do people do it? There are three reasons that people sentence. One is the punishment for the crime.
Yes.
The other is to deter others. And the third is rehabilitation, try and rectify his...
But they're not trying to rehabilitate him, or they're just trying to deter others.
That's what the Sentencing Council has to do, and they try and look at those other things. The problem
but it's a civil offence. What's not rehabilitatable?
Well, this is the thing. Say, is he then going to comply with the law? Because the court order said you mustn't do is contempt of court. But the reality is this. The other extreme is where you sweep all these really important issues under the carpet. And that's the thing I've got a real problem with, and Tommy and others work on that sort of basis.
My issue is, so I worry about police harassment, and I worry about this, which is every single week, or virtually every week, the Bedfordshire Police was raiding Tommy Robinson's house to find a reason to put him in prison. At the same time as they were going on and on and on about Anjam Chowdhury's human rights, who also lived in Luton. And you were talking about somebody who was later convicted of being actual terrorist. Now, look, no sensible person goes to the United States of America with their friend's passport. I mean, it's just an utterly stupid thing to do. Similarly, the mortgage fraud thing, yeah, OK, I get all that. But you know the one question that the establishment never seems to ask is this bloke right?
Yeah.
And I would argue with you, Andrew, that there are two levels of what is right.
Okay.
There are two different things. So there are things that are correct and symptomatic, and there are things that are correct and not symptomatic, if you like. So Tommy Robinson turns around and says, right, OK, well, in my local school, there is segregated playgrounds. The interracial marriages are effectively banned by thugs. Child marriage is allowed. Grooming is effectively legal if you're from the Muslim community, etc., etc. So you can say, OK, first point is that true?
Yeah.
But secondly, is that a wider problem? Because he's also from the part of the UK that has had the biggest amount of Pakistani immigration ever. But nobody seems to ask that. So I'm perfectly happy with saying, look, he is right, but it's an anomaly. You know, Luton's not like that. Sorry, Luton's like that, but the rest of the country isn't. Or he's completely right, and it is happening in other places. Or he's talking nonsense.
It is happening in other places.
But what we actually do is go,
Yeah.
you can't say that.
No, and that's the problem. We're living in a culture of fear.
Yes.
And as a result of it, you get these labels. I'm always against labels. You're labelled as a racist or Islamophobic or whatever. And that's the way you're dismissing legitimate concerns.
Well, now they actually put you in prison now as well. They've added that on the authoritarian government.
Absolutely. And they talk about fundamental rights of freedom of speech and freedom of thinking and so on and so forth. You can't do that. We get put in jail. Exactly. And that's the concern. We need to shine a spotlight on these horrendous situations.
How worried are you? Can I ask you? So, I mean, you're I was about to say a funny barrister, but you principally act as a legal advisor rather than going into court every 5 minutes.
I deal with intellectual property.
Yes.
I broker rights. Exactly. It's a different area too.
Yeah.
So, but as a baby barrister,
you've got the wig.
I've got the look.
Yeah.
It's never left his hair.
It's never left my hair.
You've got the wig and everything,
Yes.
but you're not regularly seen in court.
No.
But I want to ask you this question, which I think is a really important question. Are you, as a lawyer, presumably, at least to an extent, worships the law, because it's something that is your life's work,
Yes.
along with plenty of other people's life's work. Do you worry the way the law is being used against the public? I think it was Hayek who continually said that what you need is the law ought to reflect the public will.
Well, the thing is this, Andre, is the law does already reflect it. It's about the implementation, how people are enforcing what the legal rights are. My biggest concern, it's a huge concern, is that people are being silenced.
Yes.
And as people are living in there, I know many journalists who are so concerned about travelling. I did a show, still do a show called The Muckbreakers. We talk about all sorts of travelling issues, but we make sure that we unpack it. So, as you say, let's shine a spotlight on it. We look at our only mistress, if you like, is the truth. All I want to try and get to is a forum where we can discuss these things logically. And as you sort of tell them, there are abhorrent things which are happening which need to be called out. We talk about these grooming gangs, which are basically rape torture gangs happening.
I'll tell you what we'll do. Why don't we leave you there for a second? Let's go to the break, and then let's do the grooming gangs things properly, because no doubt as a lawyer you've got loads of ideas on it. Back in a moment.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
OK, this is the James Whale Show. Andre Walker in for James Whale, featuring Asher Gould.
Starring
Asher Gould. I think you've got a special update.
I've
for
got
us.
Lady W's here. Hello, Lady
fantastic.
W. Can we read you? Are you there?
Hello, yeah, I'm here.
And so, how are you? You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You've just
And
got back from the hospital, haven't you, with James Wales?
Yes, he's still there at the moment, but they're hopefully going to let him come home on Monday if his blood oxygen levels go up to the right level.
Yeah. So what do? They give him some drugs to make his oxygen better or something? It's a bit low, is it? Sort of.
Well, it's not so much drugs as they've got masks and tubes up his nose and things to pump him.
To pump in oxygen, yeah, because basically you've got no energy if you've got no oxygen going around your blood. You're tired.
Yeah, because he's always like worried about the cancer and everything, but this is just flu. But
Yeah.
because he's poorly, because his immune system isn't great, it really just like affected him very, very badly. So he's been very, very brave.
Yeah.
And he's so sweet. He's been very lovely, just like apologising to me all the time. I'm so sorry that Christmas is ruined or whatever, but which obviously doesn't.
Well, he
matter.
did ruin Christmas by getting the flu at that time.
I
mean, you really set up quite a nice. Oh no, you had a quiet. You were going to have a quiet one this time because you'd done so many last Christmases that you thought I'm not going to bother doing a big one this year, and so.
Yeah, but I wasn't actually planning on spending it in ICU.
No, what was that like?
In A&E.
Because in Talk during Christmas, there's sort of mince pies and things. There's all chocolates everywhere. What's it like in ICU? It's not like that, I presume.
It's none of that stuff. No, it's just very quiet and just him trying to breathe. And no nice snacks or anything. But the hospital staff are amazing. They were all really lovely.
Were they doing a choreographed dance routine in the corridor while everyone needs them in intensive care?
I'm afraid they didn't. I was a bit disappointed about that. But I had an amazing ride in an ambulance with like sirens and everything on New Year's Eve.
Oh, he would have liked that. He likes all that sort of thing.
Well, he was feeling a bit sick, so he didn't fully appreciate it, but I was having a lovely time.
Yeah, it's great. So you reckon he'll be out in the next couple of days, yeah?
They're hoping that he can come home on Monday.
And do you think he'll be doing the show Friday in a week, or you don't know, or probably not? Those are your three multiple choice answers.
Well, I imagine he's going to want to, because you know he loves to work.
Yeah.
And he's not been able to talk very much over the last week or so, and he's getting withdrawal symptoms.
Because it's good medicine. When he comes in on the show with the red light, he sort of, the adrenaline or something, I think it's me, really, he just gets better, doesn't he?
It's not him.
Yeah, I think it's being near you that just fixes him.
I think it is, man. So that's good news. So anything else you got to tell us about Mr. Wales? Has he told you anything, you know? What's anything New Year's resolutions for him?
No, he didn't confess any big secrets or anything like that, and he hasn't made any New Year's resolutions at all, so... No, nothing to report, I'm afraid.
All right, Lady W. Well, it'd be nice to see you. Come in. Well, you'll probably come in with him, won't you, when he comes in, maybe one night?
I might have to come in with my nurse's outfit on.
Yeah, definitely do.
Sorry, we can't leave it there. Has he bought you a nurse's outfit?
She's had one of years.
Yeah, but just the kind of one that are like green pyjamas that they wear these days, not the old...
No, we want the old one with the little watch and the blue skirt,
The short one.
The blue dress.
Don't worry, I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll go to the fancy dress shop and buy you a nurse's outfit as long as you wear it next week.
Yeah.
Marvellous. I'm not sure that's really... I'm quite an old lady.
That's a deal, then.
For wearing nurses' outfits.
All right, then. Well, that's all good. We'll do that for you, Nadine. Don't worry about that. She's agreed now.
Thanks, Nadine, anyway. Keep us updated. Yeah, great to hear from you. And send our love to James Wales.
I will tell James Wales what you said, okay?
Thanks, Lady W.
Bye-bye.
Ta-ra, Nadine.
Do you know, funnily enough, my brother sent me something about James Whale, a radio channel he was on years ago. A radio station he was on. Let me just get this right. What was it?
It was country station. It was on an Irish one. What was it called? Atlantic 252 he was on. He was on loads of radio. I mean, literally, he's been on loads of...
I wonder which one this was. It's Red Rose Radio in Lancashire.
Oh, that was one Newcastle, that was... It's Newcastle and Leeds. Wasn't that Leeds?
Radio Area was on in Leeds, because I know my brother was a presenter.
Okay, but Red Rose, that was one of his big ones, but the one in Leeds and Newcastle...
But my brother there's so many of these retro photos from the 80s, and none of them are of him.
No, it's changed Brian, but it's an easy mistake, like peas in a pan.
Let's see if he's on that picture. Well, who are they? Who are they looking for? Nork?
I don't know, man. Yeah.
We want Nork. OK, well, I'll tell you what. We do want to talk about the grooming scandal, which we will do after this break. But I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's talk very quickly about this situation with the NHS, where, according to today's Telegraph, illegal immigrants are skipping NHS queues and getting preferential treatment.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? It's called the 987 Inclusion Health, where basically undocumented migrants, homeless and drug addicts go to the top of the queue. So you might be waiting in A&E for more than 4 hours. More than 45,000 patients were delayed by longer than 12 hours, they said. But if you fit within undocumented migrants, homeless or drug addict category, then you'll be seen with about 15 minutes. You are prioritised.
And also, of course, remember the story, Jess Phillips. Do you remember?
Yes.
She went to A&E and she said, oh, I've just got preferential treatment because they knew I voted for a ceasefire in Gaza.
That was outrageous.
And that's outrageous. She should actually name the doctor and he should be appearing before the...
Absolutely. In the same way as justice should be blind, so should the NHS. We need to deal with that sort of side.
There's a lot of anti-Semitism. You know, I've heard a lot of stories. It's actually documented stories of people who are Jewish being really treated badly, sitting on the floor, being treated like...
I think everybody needs to be treated the same, and it's abhorrent that it's not.
Well, it's illegal and against the Hippocratic Oath.
It's this well-meaning thing, once again, where, you know, the people that pay the taxes, I mean, we're the idiots, aren't we? And I keep getting told off by the management for calling the viewers and listeners idiots, but I think we are all idiots, because we're the ones that pay the bills.
You don't mean they're idiots, because you mean they're very intelligent, which
No,
they
he
are.
genuinely doesn't like them.
I love our audience, it's brilliant. But you're right to draw the point, is that we are spending a huge amount...
We're muggins.
Well, if we don't call it out, and we call it out, and our audience call it out, and that's what I love about our audience. What we're going to do is absolutely shine the spotlight on this. We need to, if somebody needs to be, there's a system, isn't there? You need to prioritise who needs to be seen first, not because they fit within a category, but because their illness requires it.
But nowadays, people are judged for the colour of their skin, not the colour.
I like the colour of their sin.
The contents of their character.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's,
I didn't grow. I would argue that race is the number one political issue in Britain today. But it wasn't. It's a new thing. And I'll tell you, people go on about the United States of America.
Yeah.
This racial intolerance, this racial pressure, this lack of integration is an import from the United States of America.
It is so important.
It's projected onto us.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's so important that we address this, because actually we need to call it out, because it's not, every time you discriminate somebody, it's not because of race, gender, sex, ideology. It should be going back to a meritocracy in the same way as you apply for the NHS. Who needs to get in there first? Make sure they get prioritised, not because you tick a box.
That's the same in society, isn't it? I mean, ever since they brought in the identity politics, it's caused racism. I know Douglas Murray's talking about how gay people have basically had freedoms, but then they brought in all this LGB, LT and tomato in, and then now gay people are, again, you know, people are going, oh, I've had enough of all it, and they're being tarred with the same brush.
It backfires.
And it's the same with the racism, exactly. It makes people racist.
It makes people more prejudiced against that sort of stuff.
We were sorted 30 years ago in Britain. We didn't have
It's amazing that I will have been born in a non-racist country, and I will die in a racist country.
And it's driving it. So you're right, we should treat everybody equally to the extent they deserve it, make sure we have a meritocracy, but it is crippling society having to deal with this, and it's right that we call it out, and people are too scared in the media to call it out, but we will.
Absolutely. Grooming gangs up next.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on the app.
Yes, this is Talk, and let's go on to the grooming gangs. Nigel Farage made a speech tonight in front of the Reform faithful in which he pledged action on grooming gangs should he become Prime Minister. Andrew, look, the whole thing's a disgrace.
Well, absolutely. Hillsborough, Windrush, Grenfell, all of these have been appalling national scandals. The grooming gangs, and that's a euphemism because they are rape torture gangs.
Child rape.
You read some of the reports coming out of the courts at the moment, they're absolutely appalling. And there's two things here. Firstly, this has been going on for a long time and has been pushed under the carpet. We need to address it, and we need to work out why and who's been silencing the people on that sort of basis. The other thing we need to do is to make sure that action is taken. So it's no good just saying this has been highlighted. Elon has been tweeting about this, saying it's appalling. Jess Phillips rejected Oldham Council's calls for a government-led inquiry.
And she's the Minister for Women and Girls' Welfare.
For safeguarding.
Safety.
What on earth is that about? She should come on this programme now and tell us why Jess thinks that's the right thing to do.
You know what I think it is? Because she only just won her seat, and second was one of these Islamist, people running against. So she's under the cosh if she loses.
And this is the theme, and so important. The theme that we keep going back to is that we must never be silenced to call out the wrongs of this world.
Well, these are the most vulnerable people in our society being thrown under the bus by the women. And it's not a local issue at a council, it's a national issue. We all know that, and we all know why that. And who was there to the CPS at the time? Well, we all know who that was, now our Prime Minister. But they're all in on it. You know, there's the police, the judiciary, the council, so they're all got to cover each other's backs. So how are we ever going to crack that nut?
It is a deep moral stain on our society as a result of it. And it's a deep moral stain for people who stand back and do nothing. Now's the time to call it out. Now's the time to shine a spotlight on it and to work out who's not saying what they should be saying.
And should there be arrests for all those people that covered it up?
There should absolutely be. I always say sunlight is the best disinfectant. We need to look at this. Why has this happened to make sure it never happens again? And I can tell you one reason why is people are scared. They're scared about what we talked about earlier, about the labels. They don't want to be called Islamophobic, and they don't want to be called racist and so on and so forth. It's abhorrent, and we need to address it.
But does racism mean anything anymore? You mean you could paper the walls with these allegations?
Well, the problem is it devalues when there's real racism.
It's not really racism. It's a religion. It's a specific
This is the point. It's like, absolutely, we shouldn't discriminate against anybody on that sort of basis. That is wrong and should be called out. It has gone the other way now that people are so scared of that label that they're not doing what they should be doing.
So this, I mean, people commonly now spell racist WRAYCIST, racist, which is the kind of, I just don't agree with what you're saying version of it. I mean, to me, look, I think that the whole racism tag was intended to stop people complaining about what was going on. Now I don't give a toss. You could paper my house with signs calling me racist.
And that's the reality. It's so easy. In the same way people say anti-Semitic or so on and so forth, there are some abhorrent things which have happened, but you have to have a forum where you can talk about certain things. And not everybody's right if they come from a particular religion.
By the way, the producer's saying that I should make clear that I don't want people to paper my house with the word racist. You wouldn't get through the electric gates. So.
The Rottweilers, absolutely.
Yeah, no, we are challenging. No, we are challenging them. We are challenging them. You try and come near my house, right? A, it's down a private road.
Oh,
B,
is it?
It's got electric gates. C, it's got reinforced door. D, I've got countermeasures. Just in case anyone attacks.
So it's like mass immigration. They say, you're racist, but I haven't said anything about race. It could be white, anyone.
It is the biggest issue of our time around the world. And this is why the right is rising in so many different territories at the moment, because people are so scared. And they're so scared about what's happening, and people not calling it out. It's like a pressure cooker. The more you're not allowed to talk about things, the more you're going to get that uprising.
Well, they've said we want a mass immigration down the last 25 years, and all the people have gone, Cameron, we'll get it down. And they just lied blatantly.
Yeah, absolutely. And we want a fair system. I always say treat people with respect. I absolutely find discrimination abhorrent, but what happens, it devalues when you're lobbing these words around, wallpapering Andre's walls, whatever, on that sort of... It devalues. So in the same way about sexist and so on and so forth, it devalues women's rights if you just say everybody's sexist or you do that sort of side, or anti-whatever.
But it all starts at the UN, didn't it? With all these sort of ludicrous African communist parties stand up going, you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're... Well, not homophobe, they're not that bothered about that. But and that's where it all started.
There should be an offence, and this is where the law could be tightened up. There should be an offence for people to call out somebody as a racist or anti-Islamic or whatever it is.
Is it legal to call someone racist?
And if you're on that sort of basis. But, well, firstly, it is defamatory. You work on that sort of thing, and people go through the course.
But defamation doesn't exist. Right, I know you think it does. I know you think it does.
All the defamation lawyers out there saying you're so wrong.
But if I defame you now, you can.
I wouldn't recommend it. Otherwise, your wallpaper house will belong to me.
You can sue me if you have £500,000.
Yes, which I do.
No problem.
But that's the reality.
That's the problem. I always say that's the J. Bright cartoon from the 18th century with litigation written on a cow, and the plaintiff is pulling the horns, and the defendant pulling the tail, and the lawyers milking it, because the lawyers are the ones who benefit.
So look,
and that's the problem.
If you think you can't defame your neighbour, you're very wrong, because they can't afford to sue you. Now, my view is you should be able to sue people for defamation in the small claims court.
Yeah, well, and I think what we need to do is a person's name is one of the most valuable assets, which is why the whole defamation law was set up in the first place. But we also need the right to call things out.
But the big problem is, if you have a press complaints commission, sorry, what's it called? Independent Press Standards Organisation, who, by the way, literally tweeted me once saying, we're not the same organisation as the Press Conduct Authority or whatever it was called, Press Complaints Commission. Why are you lying about us? And I gave them their company number. They literally were the same organisation. But if you've got Ipso, which is a farce, and you've got the defamation, which you don't have access to, all you've actually done, I would suggest to you, is to suggest to people that stuff that is said about them that's defamatory, that they can't take action about, but they've consented to say it's true.
I often say this, is that actually what we need to do is, as a society, to call it out. And so often, it happens behind people's backs, so often. People say bad things about people, and they get to hear about it.
My point is, the system has been designed to give the appearance that there is recourse to justice if you are defamed. There is not.
No, and you're right, it's a financial threshold, and the way that the law's working at the moment, litigation in particular, is to encourage people to settle. Why I say about it is a society issue. It's like if you're bringing up a child, it's a whole village. That's what you used to say. A whole village is responsible for that. I think the whole community is responsible for making sure we comply with laws, make sure we treat people with respect, and that's what we need to look at. Call it out. People are saying rubbishy things to people all of the time. Some of it is defamatory, but we need to call it out.
But also, you know, when people tweet me going, racist, disgusting, racist, homophobic...
I'm sorry, I will stop.
Do you know what I do?
Yes.
Not read it. I mean, I just think
you must have exactly how on earth. No, but you're right.
But okay. So you're right. I do read it. How would I know? But I don't take it.
See, we've already caught him out. It wouldn't last long in court.
Members of the jury. I give you witness A. No, the reality is this, and it's human nature. You might get 99 brilliant reviews, but one person says something rotten about you.
The proportion is much closer than that.
That's what you focus on. But we should stop worrying about that sort of stuff. It's so easy to say, I've got thick skin, six and stuff. It hurts people. That's why they do it. It does hurt people, and that's why they do it. And people are sitting there, and they get very depressed about that sort of stuff. Absolutely.
Henry.
But we need to, the 2025, start of a new year, what we should do as a society is call it out, because that's the best way of doing it. The law is too expensive.
But why not I just make a list of anti-racism activists and just call them all something...
Racists.
Racists.
They are the racists.
Actually, why don't I just say right now, hope not hate a racist?
There you go. Well, you just said it. So I think the reality... And what we need to do is call out... The other thing to do is to call out the behaviour rather than the person. So you can correct behaviour. I do believe, and we've had this conversation before, I do believe there could be good, and you don't quote examples, but there could be good. There should be good sides to virtually everybody. I say virtually everybody. What you need to look at is...
Not Keir Starmer.
I know. The big
call out the behaviour.
The big danger is it's the boy who cried wolf. If you call everyone a racist, then genuine racists will get away with it.
And that's my point. It devalues what's a really
the real
important
racists
cause.
get away with it. Yeah.
I believe, very clear on this, I believe in a meritocracy. Justice should be blind. The NHS should be blind. Everything should be blind.
For a minute.
Make sure that happens.
Okay, we're going to be back with the press preview just in a couple of moments. 0344 499 1000.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
This is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Andrew Eborn. And Asher.
Right, yeah, let's do the papers and let's start with the Daily Mail.
Yeah.
Starmer guilty as anyone over the grooming gangs. And this is a former detective who blasts PM as calls for Oldham inquiry grow. Keir Starmer is as guilty as anyone over failures to tackle grooming gangs, a former detective claimed last night as pressure mounted on the government to deliver a public inquiry into the scandal. Whistleblower Maggie Oliver, isn't she Dame Maggie Oliver, said she had no faith in the Prime Minister's desire to get the truth. Miss Oliver, who helped expose the failure to tackle paedophile gangs in Rochdale, intervened after Labour block calls for a public inquiry into rape and sexual abuse by gangs into neighbouring Oldham. And why have they blocked it? Well, probably because it's not a local issue. It's now a national scandal. It's as big as Hillsborough and Grenfell and all those others. And there should be... And the Uni Party, you know, that the Kemi Badenoch saying we don't need this because they're also going to be caught out, aren't they? There's so much of a cover-up.
It is
all
horrendous.
The agencies.
It's a deep moral stain, and that's what we need to do. And
but it's blowing up now, isn't it?
But this is what's going to happen. It's great that the media will have these headlines turning around and say, well, who didn't do what they were supposed to do during this time? We can have a look at that. But most important, make sure the lessons are learned, make sure that the relevant people are brought to task as appropriate.
But this has been led by not this media. It's catching on after, but it's on social media. We're now seeing these are the people that are releasing it all, and they're following up.
Extraordinary. And what's happened, as I say, Elon Musk has shone a spotlight on it, saying it's absolutely scandalous. He's saying that Jess Phillips should be thrown in prison, is what
But they
he was
don't
saying.
trust the legacy media. Will it start to be trusted? I think
we're
they've blown
talking
their...
about it, and what I love about it is that you're turning around. In fairness, I always say, look, the media shouldn't be silenced. We're never silenced.
We're different here, aren't we? There's one other channel, but the rest of them are all sort of covering up.
People online now. Online is the new front line.
We are also the mainstream media. I mean, we are sat on the 17th floor of the News UK building.
Yeah,
but the vast majority of all the others
and
do.
this is the thing. And so often, as you know, I go on more platforms than Paddington, and they always, mainstream media, legacy media, as opposed to this. The reality, we are the media. We have a voice. We turn round and we say what we want to say without having.
Yeah, well, we do. But you go to the BBC, you can't. ITV, Channel 4, you've got to follow the party line.
So, without fear or favour, we will call it out and we'll continue.
When they say, the reality is, when they say mainstream media, what they mean is the BBC, ITV and Sky.
Well, if you look at, mainstream now, online is the new front line.
Well, no,
but they'll try and control it,
I understand that, but the BBC are desperate to hide this grooming gang scandal.
Well, are they? I think somebody from the BBC should turn around. The reality is, a spotlight has not been shone.
Where's the panorama about it? Where's the hour-long panorama?
Well, there may well be one, and I'm sure
there needs to be a Mr. Bates post office moment.
And isn't that interesting that the media? We should praise the media occasionally. I'm always saying, look, let's look at the media. Without the media doing that, and same with the blood scandal, and it was a scandal. Work on that basis until the media got involved and shone the spotlight, it was ignored. We will continue doing that in the media, and the biggest satisfaction is holding people's feet to the fire when others are not doing it.
And people need to read about because you hear working class girls, 1,000 in it. You don't really. You need to read the detail from court cases, and then it really focuses your mind. You think, how the hell has this gone on?
Yeah,
torture, rape,
some guy
devices used. I can't even explain.
Some guy used a broken bottle on a girl and then prayed to Allah.
Well, another used a pump, and I'm not going to say what they did with it, but this girl, she was underage and gang raped. Basically, they branded people.
It's horrendous, and it is available there. It is harrowing reading. And what happens? I think what happens is we're so used to death and destruction in the media and numbers. As soon as you personalise it, as soon as you personify these horrendous acts, that's when people suddenly wake up. Britain is waking up. We are ready. We're now aware of it.
It's the new woke.
And everybody and the great British public will get behind this campaign to make sure we get to the truth.
Neo-wokery. Anyway, my last phone call, this is a Showbiz exclusive on the mail, my last phone call with terrified Caroline Flack by lawyer who says she could have been saved. I mean, they sort of threw her under the bus, didn't they? But it's a very sad story.
It is
Did
very
you ever
sad.
meet her? I don't
met her in some studios somewhere because you do
she
that.
She seemed a lovely woman.
Everybody's lovely. Everybody's got issues. If you tickle me, do I not laugh? If you prick me, do I not bleed? Everybody's the same. And what people forget is people in the public eye, they have all sorts of demons as well. And sometimes
most of them are nutters, if you're being honest.
But I get
they are mostly nutters.
But it's a fickle industry, and I feel very sorry for people in the public eye. We spoke about this last time.
And you're in focus all the time.
They're in the public eye at one moment, and you're thrown out the other.
No, I tell you what, I never knew how itchy my bum was until I started going on TV. Because if you're out and about and you think, I just need to scratch my bum, you think, I can't do that because everyone knows who I am, right?
Yeah, you've had that cream now, you don't have that problem anymore, do you?
This is great.
Oh, you've got to... Right, admit it. There's stuff that you think, I would just pick my nose now, except for the fact I'm on the telly.
Well,
So you must have that, Asher.
Well, I don't pick my nose,
No,
until I get off the telly.
Now he's famous, gets somebody else to pick it for him.
Yeah, I do.
I'm sorry, but you're out and about, you're on the train, or you're walking around the town and you think,
yes,
I'll let rip.
I'll tell you what, send in those photos. The prize for the first photo we get of Andre, it's got to be good.
Yeah, someone followed him on the train.
I'll tell you what,
did they?
Yeah, I'll tell you what my mate did once.
Yes.
My mate said that he was a member of Parliament, and do you remember that song, Love My Life as a Dickhead?
Of course,
All my friends are dickheads. And he said he was singing that in the vestibule on his headphones, and then he farted very loudly, and he turned around and 3 of his constituents had stood behind him. It was like, this is dreadful.
I like it, yes, all good stuff.
The Daily Telegraph.
Yes.
Fast track NHS
Yeah,
care
we were
for
talking
asylum.
about that. Scandal about that. Everybody should be treated equally. And if
I think, in fact, you should go ahead. If you're a taxpayer, maybe there's a call for that. If you pay,
well, then you pay privately. And the reality, it should be based on everybody should be entitled to free healthcare. We're paying for it other ways, and those who can afford it pay a bit more because of taxes and so on and so forth. But you look at other countries where the first thing they do in America is pat you down to make sure you've got a credit card. That's the reality. We never want to have that.
That's not private healthcare.
No,
that's what people think.
People think it's free healthcare. It's not. It's paid for. You need to look at the economics of it. But it should be free to everybody. There should be no discrimination.
The problem with our system is that you're there like Oliver Twist going, please, can I have some healthcare, please?
But also, we need to praise them. The other thing...
Should we praise the NHS? It's dreadful.
When they do the right things, absolutely.
When do they do the right things? I mean, you know what? Most hospitals were built 50 years ago. They're yet to clean
People are dying in the corridor. They're even dying in the ambulances before they get in the corridor. Just waiting in an ambulance.
And they're looking after James Whale brilliantly. And
yeah, but that's because they know who he is, you know. And he goes, you know who I am.
But it's important that we also praise and we can focus on the criticism. And this is where my other pet subject, AI, is really helping. It's going to revolutionise the healthcare system in all sorts of ways. It's finding solutions to diseases. There's been seismic changes for that. It can also make sure there's efficient... Well, a number of ways.
It can detect, can't it, things? It can detect things. Like, I think, you know, what blokes get in there, what's it called? Up your... You know, there's a much quicker way now. And also pancreatic cancer. There's now an AI thing that can detect it much quicker than, and that's one you need to detect.
So what is brilliant at doing, artificial intelligence, is disseminating and assimilating all sorts of information and processing that, looking for patterns at a speed that doesn't work for humans.
It can look at blood early before we can see through a microscope.
And so there's an organisation I work with called Science for Soul, and you're working on that sort of principle where they want to share information.
Is that your soul or our soul?
Back to that picture again. Isn't that the reality is this: we need to share information, but you need to make sure that confidentiality is key. But share learning around the world. If every doctor's office could share that information, they can get prevention is much better than cure. That's what we need to look at. The other way that it can do is not just about curing diseases, but also about efficiency. There are horrendous inefficiencies in places like the NHS and so on and so forth. We need to look at that sort of side. But also there are doctors and nurses and those working in the profession who work incredibly hard, who will be destroyed every time we turn around and just criticise the NHS. It can't be...
Oh, God, I hate that.
This is how they get away with it. We're all out there banging our pans, bang the pan.
It's not a
sacred cow.
It's not a blanket criticism. Shine a spotlight on the things which are wrong, but praise the things that are right.
The first thing Keir Starmer always says is, don't say that, it might upset the hard-working NHS workers.
I
don't care, they get paid.
No.
I mean, if you want to call me an idiot on Twitter, do it. Right? But if I think, look, the NHS is a filthy dump with the worst survival rates in virtually every category of anywhere in the Western world. I don't care if people are offended.
But is it the doctor's? It's not always the doctor's fault. So
I agree with that.
So that's my point.
But you hear all this, but then you hear all the time old people are left with dehydrated just because the jug of water was they couldn't reach.
So let me be really clear on this. Our criticism of those instances has more resonance as long as we praise the good bits as well.
All right, about that.
And that's
what about
do.
This example in St George's Hospital, Tooting, where a guy was so thirsty he phoned 999 to ask the police to come and bring him a glass of water. The nurses turned the police away and he died of thirst.
And absolutely, we should call out that instance.
I mean, that is dreadful.
But then it will just keep happening and happening.
Of course, it's dreadful. But you're right. We need to call out
and
all
ambulances
those instances.
take so long.
And you're absolutely right. And we need to look at, as I say, all the bad things. Look at those. But it's not a blanket thing. No. You're calling particular things, and that's how you get solutions. Because otherwise, you just demoralise the good ones, as opposed to.
But they are demoralised. I think that's affected a lot of.
Of course,
they see us as it doesn't matter.
That they work, the stuff that they have to do. It's a horrendous.
Yeah, but you do see the odd caring one. You think, well, we need more of those.
And there's some great caring ones, and a call out to them. I don't think we should have that blanket.
Do you know? I had a friend of mine who broke his finger. Broke his thumb in, I forget where it was, it might have been Southampton or something like that. And we went to A&E, and do you know what I did? I said, listen, we will get in and out of here relatively quickly. What I did was, I made a list of the personal descriptions of all the medics and timed how long they were grafting and how long they were walking around for. I went, right, Blue one, she was only in there 40 seconds. Right, how long? 3 minutes. Look, she's just gone over there for a walk. Quick cup of tea. I'll tell you what, they had us in and out in no time.
I'm not surprised.
My advice in A&E is time the doctors and nurses, see how long they're actually working for, and publicly announce it to the other patients. That will get you in and out. They'll get you in and out, no problem.
And my advice for anybody is treat people with respect to the extent, and because you will get the best out of people.
No, because if you time them, Andrew.
Well, that's right. Well, it's either the stick or the carrot. You're looking at both and working on that sort of basis. And I do think sometimes we just do that blanket condemnation as opposed to pick out the good ones.
But look at the cancer rates. We are rubbish.
Absolutely. We need to look at that sort of side and say this is not good enough.
I mean, our NHS, is dreadful, and now we're prioritising asylum seekers and illegal migrants.
And we spoke about that. And you look at the 1 million cancer cases which are missed during COVID lockdowns. All of these things, we need to talk about it, but it has more power if we also couple that with praising the good stuff.
Also, can I just say, front page, the French are now drinking more beer than wine.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my God,
I know
that's
for the first time ever. They've admitted that. And they're probably, and worse than that, it's probably Belgium ones as well.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Belgian beer is the good stuff.
They're drinking, on average, I think I can just about see 26.5 litres of beer per year, but only 26 litres of wine.
There you go.
But that is because their population's changing into beer drinkers. PM and Trump race for free
talk
speech.
about beer.
What else?
I own 2 breweries.
That do you? Oh, good for you.
Well, I'm a shareholder in 2 breweries.
Oh, it's good. What are they called?
Disruption and Windsor and Eton.
Are they good stuff? Did you get a discount then on the crates?
Yeah, I do actually.
And it's local as well.
We should bring that in. We should do a sample.
My favourite drink is the Russian Imperial Stout from the Windsor and Eton Brewery, but it's 40 quid a litre.
Is it
40
like
quid? Why is it so expensive?
Because it was made in like 2012 or something.
We went to that pub round the corner which paid about that, didn't I?
It'll be out of date then.
It was on this menu. It was like one of the most expensive beers we've ever had.
Yeah, do you remember that pub? And they said the next time I came back, they went, "I'm sorry, you can't sit inside if you're drinking. It's bloody £10 a pint."
No, and I think we probably own the place by now.
That's the normal price in London now. It's £8.
Outrageous, isn't it? But it is an interesting report. I always quiz about these sort of statistics, lies, damn lies, and statistics. Who do they ask? You know, I bet the French would never admit to drinking more beer than wine.
Do you trust that?
So we drink more coffee than tea.
Yeah, and that's because reports keep on changing about health benefits and so on and so forth.
But coffee was the first drink before tea. The coffee houses were here. There was no tea. It was, what's the name? William of Orange.
Yes, orange barley water.
Orange barley. It was all coffee first, and then tea came.
I had a friend who worked for a well-known Anglo-Dutch firm.
Yes.
Let's not say which one, although I think we can probably guess. And he decided that he was going to have a party to celebrate William of Orange becoming the full and undisputed King of England with a Battle of the Boyne party. Right?
Wow.
And he contacted the Dutch, and the Dutch, not knowing anything about this, said, "This is brilliant." So he said what they'd do is they'd get their HQ, festoon it in orange, and they'd have a big party on the 12th. And it's fair to say it got back to the UK management, who's pointed out to the Dutch that they'd been had, and this was not going to go down as well, perhaps, as they thought.
It is extraordinary, isn't it?
Although it's fair to say, I think some of the customers in Northern Ireland would have been quite quick.
I think some of them certainly would. I think that's absolutely right.
OK, I'll tell you what, let's not.
Breaking. No, a little one. Rashford missing from with illness. I think he wants to leave Man United. Man United could go down this year, and in other sports.
Isn't that extraordinary?
I know. A 17-year-old.
Yes.
Well, they're 16th at the moment, and they're losing the last 4 or 5. But in other news, a 17-year-old player won the darts. Lex Luthor is the new darts champion. He won at Ali Pali. Lex Luthor. Well, we're back in a couple of minutes with more.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
This is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Andrew Eborn. I guess we go straight on to the weekend.
Is the correct answer. And Starmer faces a growing threat from reform over migration, poll reveals.
Yes.
Major survey suggests Prime Minister will lose significant support to Farage's Reform UK unless Labour can target voters concerned. Pollsters who accurately predicted 2024 election now claim reform switchers could even cost Labour more than 100 seats, with NHS crisis also triggering a need. There was a defection, wasn't there, today?
Yeah, there was indeed. And I listened to Nigel's speech just before coming here, and they brought him on the stage, and yes, there's another one.
He was the 150,000 exact member.
Yeah. Well, we did that little thing, and he also mentioned about Kemi and the accusation of fraud, and say that he's now going to target, he's going to do a little photo opportunity with all the people in her constituency who will come along and say they're all reform things. He's not going to sue her. He said he's not going to sue her now. It's one thing that I raised on the last time we spoke about.
I think he should.
Well, it's about rising above it. He's not going to rise. He's not going to let it drop because it's very easy to prove.
But also he wants to keep her in power because if she goes, they'll get generic.
Well, he says he's going to really push up the pressure to take away her seat, and he's going to do a photo opportunity. That's what he was saying in his speech. But he says he's not going to sue her because in defamation you have to prove that you've lost stuff, and as a result of her saying these things, actually the
cost. Yeah, that's actually be a cost.
Although that's a cop out, isn't it? Because if a reasonable person believes, but would think less of him for being a fraudster.
Yeah.
Then it is defamatory.
And I made that very point on the show, and we talked about that. It's an allegation of fraud. An allegation of fraud is defamatory if it brings you down the eyes of right-thinking people. The defence is if it's true. But it's so easy to prove. And they offer to get one of the top 4 firms, go in and show us other bits and pieces. But also, what does it mean? And we're talking about the brilliant audience we have at home. What does it mean to be a member? It's not like a subscription to Netflix. Does it mean that you can pick the leader? Does it mean you can have an influence on policy? Or does it mean I'm giving you a 10 quid or whatever?
It's a very small amount compared to the electorate.
But the problem is good point. But see, you could argue it only has 9 members.
Yeah.
But the category of membership she was talking about, she was talking very specifically that the ticker wasn't linked to the associate membership.
Did it. I held it up on air and it was highlighted for millions.
And it's embarrassing for her because, she's an engineer meant to be up with these sort of things, and it's embarrassing.
It was a bit silly saying that, and Nigel wasn't digitally aware and that sort of stuff.
And he's got 5 million followers.
Exactly, and so it was a silly way of doing politics. We need to get politics where you're focusing on the real issue.
It is extraordinary, this ticker.
It is.
So I made a video before about them having 166,000 members, and I probably filmed that at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And it's now on 168,000.
Exactly. And by the end of this programme, we can get it to 3 million.
Well, I think, and there's a video on my YouTube channel, which is...
do you have a YouTube channel?
www.youtube.com/Andre Walker.
Oh! Andrew Eborn, Optus TV, go to that as well.
Lest we forget the Errol Musk thing.
Errol Musk.
Errol Musk is on it.
But I was talking about the fact that I believe at this rate, Reform will take over the Labour Party in terms of membership.
The reality is this: they've got to get together at some stage because all it's doing is fragmenting the vote. And what's going to happen? We're a long way off an election. I know we've got the debate in Parliament about should there be another general election,
but we don't really want one, do we?
Well, we won't have one. They won't. Sure. The reality is they're going to debate it in Parliament. They didn't have to, but the poll went to 3 million to just about.
They're not even doing it in the chamber. It's going to be one in the side room.
But the reality is, and it's interesting because Errol Musk, he was talking about this sort of side, and he thinks that Starmer's out by February. What's going to be interesting is politicians, they're always interested about basically getting re-elected. Politicians are in the business of getting re-elected. If they think the country's turning against Starmer, they could very well turn against
themselves. 20 councillors resigned around near Nottinghamshire because they said this isn't. They took the fuel off the pension.
And the rhetoric and the more things that we have, these sort of headlines like "There we go, Starmer growing threat from reform," that's going to get people worried about their own position. And you must remember the statistics were not that good for Labour when they won the election. No. They talk about a landslide. It wasn't. They didn't get much more of the votes than they did in the previous election.
1 in 5 voted for him of the electorate. The big freeze, guess what? It's going to snow. Well, we all know that. That's what happens.
Stonehenge. There's a lovely picture of Stonehenge.
Also, on the front page is Alan Titchmarsh. That man has laughed at King Charles's jokes for about 30 years and finally got an honour, didn't he?
He should. Fantastic. What I also like about
come on, Your Majesty, make another joke for me to laugh.
Do you remember,
Your Majesty,
do you remember
please?
when King Prince Charles talked about, what's it, Nicholas Witch, who goes, oh, that ginger creepy...
Oh, he did?
They were, I hate that man. When he goes, I hate him.
It's going to be
very good impersonation. He was on the ski slopes. What I love as well is the picture of Stonehenge with the snow. That's with the snow. There you go. On the front page of the Telegraph.
Yeah, it's all cordoned off now. You can't get in there unless you pay 20
now they've
quid.
given Alan Titchmarsh an honour in the New Year's Honours. It's time for Gary Barlow, isn't it? Because if he sings another song in order to get, can you please give me a knighthood?
And what about poor old David Beckham? You know, rise to David, and poor old Chuck Thomas, only an OBE, who's got to work on that sort of basis. It's always
I got told that. Oh God, this is a bit difficult, but I got told that Her Majesty the Queen put David Beckham on the knighthood list personally. And then there was all sorts of things with Rebecca Lewis, and she then had to take him off.
There was something with the tax, wasn't there? You remember when a lot of celebrities had little things.
So the way that it works...
The tax thing, by the way, is grossly unfair to him because he declares his UK earnings in the UK.
I think if anybody has been a fantastic ambassador for the UK, David Beckham, a rise to David Beckham, we should do this. What I loved is coming on the show over Christmas, we had... You were Lord Ash of Gould.
I was, the Monster Raving Loony Part, along with Debbie McGee and Rick White.
And I loved it. And can I say, it was a delight coming on with Nadine and James and doing the Christmas special with them. And it did. It felt when we did Andrew Eborn's Fake or Fact, we had
It was brilliant, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was great fun and a real lovely energy.
Why did you get the honour from the...
I don't know. I mean, there's big committees and a lot of very important people meet. And
I got British Media's Curry Eater of the Year.
Oh, did you?
I did.
I took you for that curry.
You love an award,
we had a great curry. I won't tell anybody where it is because you won't get a seat again.
Yeah, that's a good place.
Wasn't that brilliant? I know, it's a very good. I love that. I never recovered for about like a week afterwards, but it was fantastic at the time. It was glorious.
It's fair to say that it's an Indian working class calf.
I think I was there in my.
Oh, there's my picture on the top left.
Have we got it? Oh, there we are. Look, there we are. I'm glad I mentioned
there it is. Lord Ash of Gould.
Lord Roy Wood. We had Lord Pothole.
Minister of Talking TV.
Isn't that good?
Yeah,
and they had the guy in here who's an Agent Chivers, I think his name is.
Chinners.
That's an agent, and he's a cartoonist. Very good.
He's brilliant.
Who's Lord Pothole?
He actually did. The guy fixed the potholes in the country.
So they basically come up with the alternative.
Is that Uber, whatever his name is?
Yes, he's the guy who's been shining a spotlight on potholes and that sort of stuff. Good for him.
That won't fix them, just shining the spotlight. You've got to put the stuff in as well.
Well, it'll go in the hole.
They will.
Well, you never know. Nadine Dorris, I sometimes wonder whether I've entirely lost the plot. Yes, she
has. She's a total crank.
Ages ago, she's
a total crank. She began phoning around the newspapers saying that I was running Robert Jenrick's campaign. She's off her tits. No, she is a loony. She is genuinely a loony.
Well, we knew the person doing it, though, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
The Times.
Yes.
Starmer in Trump sights. This is interesting. PM battling series of vocal attacks from US President-elect and Elon Musk. It's basically about freedom of speech, and America can't believe what's going on.
No, it is outrageous. And there's that lovely picture again of Stonehenge on the Times as well. There you go. Fantastic stuff.
Also, can I just ask you this question?
Yes.
Are you a middle-aged, middle-class man? Yes. Have you got an air fryer? Yes. Have you got
one?
Yeah.
I haven't got one.
Oh, the Diet Air Fryer book. 500 calories. That's in the Times on Saturday.
500 calories.
24.
Do you like the air fryers? Have you got one?
I'm obsessed.
It's good for chips, sausages. A steak actually does well in it.
Do you know the diet stuff? Do you know the best thing with an air fryer is
Mars bars.
You can refry chips from the chippy.
Do you know how KFC now is awful? And it used to be good. Get your KFC, stick it in your air fryer.
Do you add your own herbs and
spices? Make it really good.
Yeah.
No, it's still crap.
So how do they work then?
It's a small oven.
What's the principle behind it?
It's a small oven.
Just a small oven.
That blows air, so it's sort of a bit quicker.
But you're not doing stuff in oil, so it makes it look healthier.
Yeah. So it's instead called. So the reason it's called an air fryer is because it's such a small oven and it blows out the heat, it does do the outside more quickly than it does the inside.
It makes it crisper. We sound like QVC, don't we?
No, say you got a pasty.
Get on now.
So you got a pasty, it takes 25 minutes in the oven, it'll take 12 to 15 minutes.
So that's very good, isn't it? They do this combo micro. We've got one of those where you can do like a baked potato.
Yeah.
And it's not just a microwave, but they do like an ovenly bit and they do something funny to it.
Yeah.
And it comes out in like a nanosecond. It's glorious.
And you can do it on your phone, Bluetooth.
What, a thing?
Do me a fryer on the phone.
You can do it. Really?
Because I'll just sit at home and you want to put it on to preheat it for a minute. I just put it on my phone.
Is there somebody at home now? Can we get the
I could probably put it on now.
Oh, put it on. Put your air fryer on now. Put your air fryer. Right, this is a moment. Is there somebody at home now? Who's at home at the moment?
Well, no. So here we go.
What?
I'll put it on anyway. It'll be nice and hot when I get back.
What are you cooking?
Start cooking. Well, you can pick whatever. It's got all the recipes on there.
But if you've got nothing in the air fryer,
I just go start cooking and then start and anyway, we'll be back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
OK, this is the James Whale Show with Andre Walker in for James Whale featuring...
No, starring.
Featuring.
Starring.
Featuring.
Well, everyone knows it's starring.
Featuring.
Starring.
Featuring.
Yeah, well, you can feature. I could star, couldn't I?
There you go, starring Andrew Eborn.
Thank you.
OK, on a serious note, Meghan Markle has been on manoeuvres. She's doing all sorts of new stuff. Let's have a bit of a watch about what she's up to.
Yeah, man.
Let's make a show.
Let's go. I've always loved taking something pretty ordinary and elevating it. Surprising people with moments that let them know I was really thinking of them.
What? This is probably one of the most glamorous moments of my life.
It's magic. I'm going to share some little tips and tricks. I see what color I gravitate to, and everything goes from there. And how you can incorporate these practices every day. That's what you want. You want that shape and texture. Come on. This is about connecting with friends. I love that we're doing this together for the first time. Making new friends. That is so good.
We're family now.
And just learning. Look at how much honey we have.
Do you believe in love?
We're not in the pursuit of perfection. Woke us all up. We're in the pursuit of joy. Love is in the details.
I have to do it totally wrong
to get it totally right. Look at what we made. Guy snoring. Peaceful day.
Who gave her the keys to my pad in Beverly Hills, man?
So she likes to take something ordinary and elevate it. Well, that's exactly what happened with her, isn't it? Let's be totally honest. Yeah, interesting. Has she met Hugh Fernley Whittingstall or something and decided she wants to do like a crap version of River Crossing?
What happened to him?
OK, we've got Samara Gill, who's a broadcaster.
Fantastic.
She's joining us from Australia. So, Samara, why are you in Australia?
Yeah, what are you doing, man?
I'm here visiting family. I have to go back to the homeland at least once a year to remind my family that I still exist.
You could have just Zoomed them or Skyped them. I mean, it's much easier, isn't it, these days?
Yeah, after a couple of days of hanging around with them, I am rethinking my choices to get on a 24-hour flight. Could have been a Zoom call.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us. So look, I don't understand this because Meghan seems to be an adept at getting various seemingly sensible companies to write out colossal checks for her. So Netflix are now into this, are they? Do we really think this will be good, or will it be a flop like everything else?
It will absolutely be a flop, Andre and Ash. I think that this will really be the final nail in the coffin for them. I mean, this was already filmed in someone else's house way before the Polo documentary.
No, stop.
It's not in her house.
Was it Lord Alice?
I think it's much worse. I think it's like a soundstage that she's pretending is her own. It's literally, the trailer is one of the most inauthentic scenes I've ever seen. I just don't understand how she thinks that we're going to be spoon-fed this crap from her any longer. Her days are numbered. All the Netflix execs, attributed to all the leaked different conversations, are done with giving this woman hundreds of millions of dollars to prance around a field with B-list actors and pretend that she's got anything to sell us.
It's not
It's
viable.
the most tone-deaf thing.
Was it part of the Netflix deal they did when they thought they might make some money, Netflix, so they've just got to get this one out of the way, like people who get 5 album deals? Was it just they just got to wind the contract down?
Yeah, she's like big fun. She's
you know, like when Prince and George Markle they were like slaves on the record label. We got to do it. Is it part of that? But in this case,
she's
the
like
company want to get rid of her.
Netflix's foot. They can't get rid of her.
Yeah.
And she's hanging around like a bad smell, because this is definitely part of the original deal. They wouldn't have recommissioned this. Anything that they have done, apart from their big expose documentary, has been a flop. So anything not linked directly to the royal family has absolutely faltered and failed. And this is just the newest edition of.
So she is like literally the royal version of the Wee Papa Girl rappers, you know, sort of, you know,
generous,
one
that's a
disaster.
generous statement, Andre, honestly.
But they never. I remember it's a royal knockout. You won't remember that, but
we remember
Prince Edward.
Edward, he was so upset with the press, wasn't he? When he went in there,
you don't. He walked out, didn't he?
They walked out. It was terrible. So Samara, you don't think she's going to be the next Martha Stewart then?
Hey, Andrew.
Martha
No,
Scargill.
she's town store Martha Stewart. I'll tell you that much. She really believes that, and it's actually, you know, it's quite a fall from grace, because she originally, first of all, wanted privacy, and second of all, wanted to save the world.
Yes. And she did do that wonderful jam as well. You might remember that, which was
glorious. Yeah, she sent out 50 jars. But is this the last thing from Netflix? And will Prime sign her up? Will someone sign her up? Because she's obviously recognisable.
I'll tell you who should sign her up: Dignitas.
I mean, what do you think's next for her? Do you think? I mean, will she be with Harold? And I mean, what's going to happen?
I think divorce is next. What's really interesting?
That'll be a great documentary.
Well, yeah, she'll definitely sell that story to the press. That's for sure, because it'll be the last thing that she can grab onto.
But actually, the divorce thing will be horrendous, because she will go on a 10-year tour just making
a divorce privacy tour. Yeah,
the worldwide privacy tour. That was brilliant on South Park, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, is she going to release a range of, like, what's her name? Gwyneth Paltrow. Is that going to be her next? What is her next thing?
Gloop.
At least Gwyneth Paltrow had half a brand of sort of elite Oscar-winning actress to go off. She's a D-lister who will probably try and sort of sell us a couple of beach towels and maybe some overpriced jam. But that's pretty much it. And that's not going to pay for the Montecito lifestyle that she's trying to live.
And they've got to pay the security. They've did a podcast coming back, the Archibald podcast or something. But she's got no celebrity friends.
That contract got cancelled.
Oh, but there's someone else. It's like, but they're all distancing Oprah. They're all distancing themselves from her. She'll be left with Whoopi Goldberg.
Yes, completely. They are all distancing themselves from her. It was interesting. She made sure to mention Mindy Kaling in the first 5 seconds of that trailer because that's about the most famous friend that she's got left.
From Mork and Mindy,
Who is Mindy Kaling?
She's the producer.
Oh. In the office. She was in the office. She was in the office.
Yes, and you know, she's a writer, but I think it's quite interesting because she attracts all these sort of low self-esteem B-list actors as grifters who want to boost their own profile. So it's sort of this weird harem of different people coming together and trying to feed off each other's.
Hang on, wasn't that? I think you might have missaid that. It's a harem, not a haram.
Not haram, harem.
She's created this haram. Sorry, what?
That'll be the next thing, won't it?
Yeah. She's created something that's religiously offensive to Islam. It was a harem.
This is not the day to be religiously offensive on talk. So
no, but that might be a new thing she goes into. That's one thing she could become.
Yeah, it's Haram TV with Meghan Markle.
Yeah. Anyway, when are you back, Samara?
Career step.
When are you coming back to civilization and doing the shows and that with Kev? When you're back?
When am I back? I'm back on Thursday. I'm back on the 9th, and I'll be coming straight off the flight and coming into the studios. So,
but the problem is you're not doing Russian Orthodox Christmas.
No, I'm not. God,
that's
no.
the 7th.
She's having a break.
Yeah, you're right. Are you celebrating?
Well, I've got a bit of a problem because I want to leave. I want to take my Christmas tree down, but because I film my YouTube videos, but people are just going to think I'm a lunatic if I'm not. Because the 12 days of Christmas put you on the 19th of January, don't they?
Well, you've got to keep it there.
Yeah, it's all bad luck, but then it's good luck. I feel like you're stuck in this weird in between where you don't know. And some people.
I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do the 12 days of Christmas. We'll do one Christmas day in some Russian restaurant somewhere, and we can eat polonium. And
by the way, what's it like in Australia with all the politics and everything? Is it worse than the UK? Is it?
It's actually insane. I tried to take it when I arrived. I tried to take a photo of the border security, just being like, "Oh yeah, I arrived." And I get this police officer come up to me, and he's like, "You're gonna have to delete that." And I was like, "Why?" And he goes, "Yes, you're not allowed to show any of this, even yourself arriving in Australia." And I'm thinking, what is going on? So he then makes me go, he takes me into a little room. He makes me go into my phone, delete the photo, and then delete it out of the recently deleted. And I'm just thinking, welcome back to Australia. Literally no freedom. If we think we've got, it's like the slippery slope that you guys are experiencing in the UK with freedom of speech. That's already happened over here. There is no such thing.
Since COVID, wasn't it, when they shut down? That's when it's sort of the rot set in.
True.
Hell on thy neighbour has become.
Well, you know, you should have said to him. You should have said, "Yeah, but I've been told by police on documentaries that you can see anything that's been deleted anyway."
You can.
So I'm just gonna undelete it.
Well, you know your stuff, Andre. I'm not going to fight you on it.
Great. All right, Tamara Gill, thank you so much.
Great to see you tomorrow, Samara.
We will be back in a moment.
Samara.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
If you had 4 stomachs, you'd belch a lot as well.
Well,
oh, sorry, we're back.
You can go to the Philippines and get
We were
those
talking about
kids.
Cravendale milk there, which was slightly odd.
Well, Bill Gates wants to inject cows with a drug that makes them stop
But you
belching.
know that effectively octopi
Yes.
have 9 brains.
And they have 3 hearts. You know,
Well, they're
that's why
flipping- they're flipping
absolutely-
clever, aren't they,
And also, an octopus, its mouth is also its anus.
Thank you very much. That's how they know how they speak so well.
That's why they're always talking crap.
Although, to be fair, I think what they actually do is they take stuff into the stomach, and any stuff that they don't want afterwards, they just vomit out.
They are glorious.
Owls do that.
They're phenomenal. But octopuses are brilliant, and they can get into the tiniest little spaces.
They're amazing,
Did you
aren't they?
see My Pet Octopus? Did you see
I
that
saw the Netflix
wonderful
thing, yeah.
documentary about this man who befriended this octopus, and he came to see it
And
every
they're
day?
so clever, and they only live three or 4 years, and they become
nothing, but
they're
they're
like
amazing.
they're almost godlike,
So
aren't
it
they?
can an octopus can get through anything
Yes.
that is 1 millimetre bigger than its eyeball.
Isn't that great? Isn't that wonderful?
Anyway, enough of all that
Enough of the
blabber.
octopuses.
All
We've
that
been told
but
off.
we are educational as well. But let's go to by the way,
Nice
there's
little
Mike
Anna.
Graham with his croissant. Oh no, it's
No,
not.
it's not.
It's not. It's Dr. Dave Ball. But they do look the same in a certain light. Nice little earner. There we go. It's a 17-year-old projected to win £50 million a year. Well, to earn it. Lex Luthor is tipped to rake in 50 million. Right, so it's Luke Littler.
How is he 17? He looks about 50.
And his dad but he's always looked this age. He looks really old.
Where is he from? Is he north or
Warrington.
south?
Warrington.
Well, Northerners, yeah, they do age quicker, don't they?
Not necessarily. Well,
Shut up.
It's a hard life they have. And that's basically it. Free inside, slimming well detailed. And,
How does
Use the force, Luke. I love it.
Hang on. How does a dart player earn 50 million a year?
It's got so much more popular, and he's
50
also
million over his career.
Yeah.
Oh, right,
Well, it depends how long the career, but also merchandising stuff. It's all
Well,
about
he's
the
only
more
17.
publicity.
He's going to have a long career.
He's got great, and what I love is his celebration. He used to sort of have a doner kebab, didn't he, when he would prepare for the dance matches.
It's
and
nice
stuff
to
like
see a young, fat dart player coming through because they started to get more athletic.
that. And
They are
he's
athletes.
bringing another generation.
I love that when they go when you're watching the darts. They go, look at this fantastic athlete, and he's about 40 stone. I absolutely love them. I always thought we should get darts into the Olympics.
Yes.
Because can you imagine all these like Tom Daly's turning up looking buff, and then Luke Littler, he's got his pint.
Well, it is basically
It's javelin.
archery and javelin mixed.
Small
It's a mixed javelin
There's a
and
real
archery.
skill, and that's what you said. And they brought bullseye back as well.
I've got to be honest with you. Whatever way you look at it, it is purely only snobbery that puts javelin and archery in the Olympics and keeps darts out.
You're right, because there's probably more skill. There's more skill.
but
No, with a javelin, you just throw it,
No, but-
and it's all about distance. You're absolutely right. There is more skill in a darts. That's another campaign
But
we'll
you have
start.
to- but-
darts has got more skill than javelin.
But a
throwing.
definition of a sport, it's a non-sport if you don't have to change your shoes to do it.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Well,
that's how you-
every year they can bring in, or every time they have the Olympics, you can bring in a special
I'll tell you what, the specialist sport we should have brought in
Go
the
on then.
London 2012 Olympics.
Shove Halfpenny.
No.
Yes.
It should have been the take your cannon to bits and run round Edinburgh. Do you remember? What was that?
Really good.
The Royal Tattoo.
That was superb.
And what I do feel sorry for the people up in Edinburgh who missed out this year because of the bad weather. Wasn't that sad about New Year's Eve?
Why did they cancel it? Were they worried of a terror attack? I think.
Well,
I'll tell you what they did try and bring in. They tried to bring in for the London 2012 Olympics the Stratford Dash, which was you had to run from Dixon's to cash converters with a TV under your arm, and whoever got there first was the winner.
Right, the Daily Star.
that's the papers.
Daily Star.
We love the Star.
£2 free shot back at William Hill.
Yes.
And here is the headline: Secretary of State for the bleeding obvious.
Yes, it's going to be cold, is what they're
Health
saying as well.
Secretary Wes Street it's going to be cold, and it's in January. Well, it would be. Health Secretary Wes Street, and he represents the gits who stole OAP's winter heating allowance, says we should turn on the heating to stay warm.
It is a scandal.
It's a crass comment, actually, because when somebody asked him, what should you do about the winter fuel payment being cancelled, he said, make sure you turn your heating on. Well, I believe there's the problem.
Yeah, it's predicted to be -8 degrees centigrade in some places, snow and ice, and it's scandalous. And it's not a joke. It shouldn't be a joke.
No.
And he should not. But people are freezing to death.
Well,
And it's a
4,500
scandal.
Labour project projected onto when the Tories threatened to take, or said if they... But so that's about 40 tonight will die, so thank the government
What about
for that.
join Slimming World for free? Do you have a New Year's resolution?
Well, I liked Oli coming on earlier. I got whatever he got taken off over Christmas. I think that was...
Are you wearing a corset as well?
You know what it's like. I'm half the man I used to be, actually, and you work on that sort of basis. But the reality about it is no good just chopping bits off you. It's about lifestyle, isn't it? It's like these ozone...
Yeah, so some people might not have been listening, but Oli London has had yet another procedure.
Yes.
I mean...
A reversal one, though, wasn't it?
But he's now had his body sculpted.
He has. Well, he's transracial, isn't he? That's what he wants to look like, this Korean Indian on that sort of basis. And lovely. He's had work done, has he?
Well, no, the way he had recently was that he's...
But this new
Get out of it! Has he had work done? Has he had work done? I'll tell you what, his face on average is 6 months old.
I love it. It's got he looks surprised. Well,
he looks surprised.
But no, what he's had done, he had some...
anyway,
enough of this blubber again. We've gone back into...
he had moves like Jabba.
I like Oli. He's a lovely guy.
I think you've sorted it out there, yeah. I'm doing that.
Are you going back to the papers? Go on,
back to the papers. And now some pearls of wisdom from the man charged with protecting... Oh, well, that's what we saw. Daily Express. It's a cop-out on social care reforms.
Terrible, isn't it?
Labour's social care reforms will take years and are a cop-out. Well, we know that.
They won't do the recommendations until 2028.
We'll all be dead by then anyway.
It's another 3 years away. Activist Dennis Reed claimed that this amounted to a recipe for delay. Well, of course it does. You know, we need to shine, as what we were saying earlier, we need to get things sped up. AI can help with that. We can get more efficiencies. Let's get these reports. People say, oh, we're doing a report, we commissioned this. It takes far too long. We need to speed these things up and get it sorted now.
Yeah, but of course they're going to wait till the end of their term.
Can I make a comment about what's at the bottom of this, which is an advert for lower prices in supermarkets. On a serious note, I mean, I was amazed. Weren't all the supermarkets selling vegetables cheap this Christmas? Which I think was quite nice.
No, it was lovely. You can get carrots, big kilo of carrots for 8p. And Brussels sprouts. And what they are, they're lost leaders. Standard thing in retail, you want people through the door, I'll get some 8p carrots. Whilst I'm here, I'll pay 17 quid for a gammon joint.
Yeah, that's how they get you, isn't it? Yeah.
That's what they do.
But also, I will say one thing.
Yes.
You know, I mean, who cares that this happens to be a Tesco's advert? People are really struggling with the prices in supermarkets at the moment, aren't they?
Well, the other thing I used to be a trustee of a food repurposing sort of a charity.
What is a food repurposing?
No, basically, there's so much food which is wasted.
Yes.
And what it is, it's still good to be eaten.
Yes.
And we need to work out, half the world is starving, but there's enough food to feed the world if you educate people about waste and excess.
But they want us to eat, I mean, the WEF want us to not have meat, so they'll all have meat, and we'll be eating insects. And this is by something like 2030.
And insects are very good for you. They are very good for you.
They are.
But we need to make sure.
Your teeth.
But people are turning around and saying, look, let's be more food aware so we don't throw so much away. But also stores becoming aware of it. They do these things like Too Good To Go and do them.
I will tell you one thing. I mean, you know, I've not got kids and whatever. I know mums will have a tendency to go, right, Monday we'll do this, Tuesday we'll do that. You know what? I am one of the people who goes to the supermarket, throws everything in, and my bin is full at the end of the week.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
A lot of people do it.
So people should be more aware of what they're throwing. You can save a huge amount of money. And there are a number of organisations, all of a sudden, these big retailers have now got it on board. There's an organisation called Too Good To Go. You can check on the app, where you can get food at a discounted rate. So rather than throwing it away, they can sort it out.
So Too Good To Go, at the end of the evening, say somebody like, say, Harvester will say, right, I've got 5 steak dinners. Do you want to buy them for £1 each?
Something like
and then everyone has a fight, don't they, at the back of the store?
But what we need to do is make people aware of it. So, firstly, it's making sure it just doesn't go for landfill. Secondly, people can work where you've got a heating or eating crisis. If you can look at these sort of things where we're not wasting the stuff, but also you want to talk about eating healthily. It's not just about these massive diets and lopping bits off you. It's turning around and we can eat healthily. That's what we need to do.
And you can freeze. A lot of people don't realise you can freeze a lot of it. A cheese can be free. some vegetables and fruits can be
freeze cheese.
Freeze cheese. And the farmers are going to be on. They're going to block. Apparently, they're going to get more like the French and the Gillette Jones, and they're going to block things. And so everyone gather your bog rolls.
There is one other thing that was on the front page of the Daily Telegraph, and forgive me for going backwards on this, but I did mean to bring it before. The Netherlands has decided to publish all of its documents on Nazi collaborators, and there are 32 million pages of documents. Now, presumably many of these people are now dead. Good thing or bad thing?
Well, of course it's a good thing. I think you have to turn round. I think the more we can shine a spotlight on the atrocities of the past, the better. And people always say, they come out with these sort of trite phrases like, oh, lessons will be learned. Well, what lessons have been learned? And we need to turn around, shine that spotlight and make sure we do it quickly.
But Andrew, what if it was my grandfather? It's not. I'm not Dutch. And my granddad wasn't a Nazi. But but what if it's... what if I was to say, well, hang on a second, this is only half the story? Because, you know, the country had been occupied. The Dutch did try and fight off the Germans. And then people were forced into collaborating.
But there was more Jews killed there than Poland, proportionately.
But people potentially will be remembered in history for being vile racists when they were a subjugated people.
And you're absolutely right. And as you know, that's what I do all the time, to play devil's advocate, where somebody needs to be there to put the other side. And that's what I hate about when people are not there to defend themselves. You just hear one side of a story. And like any courtroom...
The poor Nazis aren't there to defend themselves.
But Andre's point is...
I mean, Asher, my question to you, Asher, is really simple, because I think it's important for the purposes of history to have these documents, but then individuals will be besmirched because people will only half read them.
Well, I mean, you either collaborated or you didn't, and, you know, there does come a time when you've got to make a choice and you've got to be responsible. I mean, the Dutch policeman that arrested Anne Frank was a policeman right up until the 80s in Holland, you know.
Is that right?
And I think you've got to be take your responsibility. If you collaborate, you're following orders. Sorry, you're guilty.
It is absolutely abhorrent, and you're right to call it out. Andre's point is that they're not here to defend themselves and put maybe there's an argument against it.
But mind you, and I don't mean to be crass, neither is Anne Frank.
No, I get it.
And I'm not making that as a crass comment.
Otto Frank was alive for many years.
There you go.
I remember him on Blue Peter.
There you go. Thank you. But the reality is exactly that. And I do think when things are abhorrent, it's also abhorrent if you're accused of something, a horrible crime, and you're not guilty. If you don't get a chance to be represented or to have your case put forward, that's equally abhorrent. And we always say evidence is assumed innocent until proven guilty. If you're just relying on one source, that's very, very dangerous.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because you do need all these documents, but what worries me is you see these things nowadays with like that stupid thing about Edward Colston, who was not a slave trader, and we went through all this whole thing. It was only at the end of the process of ripping down his statue I realised the bloke wasn't a slave trader, because people have half the information.
And history is ugly, and that's the reality. You shine a spotlight, but only on one chapter of it, and you don't put things in context.
There's more slavery now than there ever has been.
It is appalling. And what's going on at the moment? We go back to what we're saying. We here on Talk will continue shining a spotlight on the stories that need to be told today.
Well, anyway, for those people whose families did suffer in the Netherlands during the Second World War, I mean, this is an amazing project. As I say, 32 million pages have been digitalised, obviously in Dutch. But I mean, people will be able to search them.
Will they? Well, 32 million pages in Dutch.
It'll take decades before anything meaningful comes out.
This is a game where AI can help. You turn around, work on that sort of basis. You shine a spotlight on some examples. All I would say is put everything in context. Make sure, as you say, sometimes people's names might be wrong or whatever. You need to work out if it is right. If it is abhorrent, we'll call it out. If they've been wrongly accused, there's nothing worse than working on that sort of basis. And it's much better, we always say in the law, that 99 guilty people get off than one innocent person gets convicted.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I really do think it's an interesting thing. I think I think the bigger thing is people who attempt to do history, you know, in 10 minutes, going, oh, I've spotted this name. And you end up with that stupidity, like the Edward Colston stupidity, where the bloke was a cloth trader and he got given this titular role as deputy governor of the Royal Africa Company, which had a division which traded slaves. He'd never seen a slave in his life. He'd never profited from a slave in his life. But of course, because people do this half-baked historical analysis.
And it's true. I always say about when people talk about judgments and sentences, sentences and judges being lenient. You get a little snapshot in the press of what might be the results of several weeks of evidence.
As an example, the judge who never said that a girl was too intelligent to go to prison. That was never said.
By the way, it's all about your calls in the next hour, and there's the number if you're on the radio, 03444991000. Call in now. We're going to whip through them all. We've already got a few here, but, you know, we will
and the
get
Eborn's going. Are you going or staying?
It's past midnight, isn't it?
You've got to go turn into a pumpkin.
Well, I might stay for a couple of minutes. I'd like to have one call. I'd like to speak to the psychic because I've got a prediction for the psychic. If they make a call now, I have a prediction coming up.
All right, Eborn is going to hang around at least for a couple of moments to get your calls in. Back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense. This is Talk.
Okay, this is the James Whale Show featuring, starring...
No, they got rid of featuring anyway. It's not even anything, really. I just say starring Ash.
Okay.
It's my right.
James Whale is in hospital. Don't worry, he's perfectly tickety-boo. For those of you that were listening or watching earlier, we had an update from his wife, but we also got a voice message from him. Just bear in mind that he's got the flu, so he sounds a little bit groggy. Let's take it away.
Well, here I am in hospital, having a marvellous time, I can't tell you. Really should be out there keeping Ash under control. But my lovely wife is sitting here, just keeping an eye on me.
I am.
You are. Anyway, in the meantime, I will leave you in the expert hands of Mr. Asher Gould. And hopefully I'll be back on the air, Talk TV and radio, very, very soon.
He will be. It's just the flu. It's nothing of a serious thing, but obviously it was bad. I had it for 2 weeks, and he's got...
Brilliant. I'll tell you what we should do. 03444991000. You can talk to us about grooming. You can talk to us about any of the issues that are going on. Andrew Eborn's going to hang around because we've just had an argument with him about the night tube, which is very definitely going to Baker Street.
Oh, and it's my favourite part of the show. I always say this. Hearing from the great British public, that's what I love.
All right, let's go for Stephen in Dorset. Stephen, you're on talk.
All your calls for next hour.
Hello. Yeah, good to hear James is doing all right.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, man. And one thing I just wanted to say about the Meghan Markle montage, which I loved. Focaccia is one of the easiest breads to make.
Oh.
And did you see the focaccia? You should get a still of it. It looks like a pancake. I bet they were too worried about getting their fingers all yucky.
How do you make a good focaccia?
I got a Tesco. I got something out of a Waitrose newspaper, and I followed the recipe. It's pretty easy.
Go on.
Do you remember it?
Well, you bung some water and some bread, and you stick your fingers in, and you let it rise. It's very easy.
There you go. You are the new Fanny Craddock. I love it. Beautiful description. It's got to be good.
Focaccia with Fanny.
Is that it, Steve? Is that what you just told us about focaccia?
Yeah, but you got to check out her focaccia. Get a still of it. It's the worst focaccia.
Yeah, I saw it. It looked like back in a sick, like they were sort of prodding their fingers.
Oh, look, they're trying to find the exact bit
Here we
now.
go. We're going to find the bit. That's not focaccia. There it is.
No, go back. Go back. She was doing it earlier.
That's a biscuit. That's a shortcake biscuit.
Is that no? That's got
just a second before that. She put fingers in it. It looked like a big mess.
It's got pubic hair on it.
It's not pubic hair. That's.
Oh, is that a part of it?
Oh no. It's
not the Duchess.
It's rosemary.
Rosemary.
It is rosemary. Lovely. It's rosemary.
Yeah,
Stephen, can I ask you this question? Do you believe that she's just bleeding off us now?
Do I believe what? Sorry?
That Meghan Markle is just bleeding off her royal connections?
Of course. She's talentless, really, isn't she? You know, she's.
But she's playing a blinder, hasn't she? Don't you think? If on her count, she was nothing, and now she's known around the world.
What can I ask? What could she do to change the public's mind?
I think I suggested it earlier.
Yeah, I don't think.
What do you think?
Come on, Steve. Gonna have to hurry you, producers.
How could she change the public mind? Do a better focaccia?
You're her PR man. She's got lots. What would you advise?
What advice would you give her?
Well, maybe she's taken a leaf out of Keir Starmer's book. You know, she's duped us all there.
And we all know.
I'll tell you what, if I was the British Prime Minister, I would commit to putting a British national on Mars, and that British national would be Meghan Markle.
But she's not technically a British national, is she?
I always thought she'd run for president at some stage. I predicted it long time ago.
No, she won't, will she?
Well, she might do. If the political climate was right, you never know. And things can change.
But she was married to the British, and they wouldn't have someone married to the British royal family in the.
Things can change. I wouldn't be surprised. You might. That's why I'm really interested how she can turn it around.
I think she could turn it around by. Do you know what he should have done? He should have become the governor of Canada with her. I think that would have been
good,
fine.
and they would have loved that.
That would have been great.
And they went from loving Harry and Meghan to completely.
Yeah, but
they didn't like her in Canada.
That's because she behaved appallingly badly, and she has successfully, in my view, persuaded the world that Britain is a very racist country. I mean, I remember, and no doubt it happened to you too as well, in the run-up to that royal wedding, American news outlets were phoning me all the time going, and what's it like having a black princess? Are people very worried? And the honest answer was, nobody cared.
No, we didn't.
People loved it, actually,
but the Americans were absolutely determined that we had a problem with it.
And it's what we said beforehand.
And she insists.
She milked it.
She insists that we were all against her because she was black.
And then Harry joined in.
Yeah, and it's so wrong. We are not a racist country.
And she succeeded. She succeeded in persuading the world.
Well, it was that Oprah interview, wasn't it, when they didn't say it, and it was missing the classic journalist tactic: who, what, why, when.
Oh, and they asked what the colour of the baby. That's not racist. You do that. I've heard families do that anyway. I wonder if it'll be black like your family, or it's just a natural thing to say.
And it's all about intention.
But she's also going on about the discrimination against her black son, who's paler than me and ginger, right? He's not
and
black.
She said they wouldn't get the prince or the duke. He got it. It was just waiting in line.
She also said that they deliberately gave him the title the Earl of Dumbarton because it had the word dumb in it.
Yeah, it is a bit silly.
I mean, that's
dumb in itself.
She knew that not to be true.
So do you think there's anything she can do?
Yeah, she could go to Mars.
You think that?
I don't think not maybe in America, but I think here she's burned bridges.
But actually, Trump has promised. This is what he promised in his campaign, that he would colonise Mars before the end of this term.
But the point was, she was horrible to the British, and she has successfully, in my view, persuaded the world that the problem here was that we were very racist and we were against her from day one. And we know that's not true. No, and it's frustrating because no one else does.
It's definitely not true. And it also devalues some of the great work. And I keep talking about some of those things. And there is great work there. I love the Invictus Games. I love the whole concept of that sort of stuff that Harry's done. And as you say, it devalues all that other stuff.
I'll tell you what she did that was really wrong. She didn't understand the way the system works. When she went down with that tiara thing, I wanted the emerald tiara. The foreign secretary had said, do not use that bloody thing. Right. She'll have gone but I'm a princess, I can do it. And of course, the person there who will go, oh, Your Royal Highness, whatever, will actually be quite a senior official who will have got on the blower to the Foreign Office, and she'll have been slapped down by the Queen.
I think the Queen apparently was the one who blocked it, because there's some history with the diamonds.
Yes, there's a lot of history with the diamonds. It's
the sapphires, actually. They were donated by the Tsar and may have been Russian state property, not the Tsar's property.
So a number of the jewels have issues.
No, it's probably Fabergé.
But you're right.
Oh, my God. A Canadian's been in touch to say, don't give her to us.
Yeah, they didn't like her, did they, in Canada?
They did not like her at all.
And quite right. Well, it's not because of what she did to the Queen.
Well, maybe they should tell us what they think of Trudeau at the moment. That'll be...
Well, that won't be very good on this channel, will it?
Thanks, Steve.
But you can't slag off Trudeau, as I've said before. Canada's first black Prime Minister. Right, you can't slag him off.
Canada's first blacked up.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay. Stephen, thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
Ken is in London. Ken.
Hi, Ken.
What have you got for us tonight?
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, gentlemen. Listen, I enjoyed listening to your discussion about this Muslim rape gangs in England.
Yeah, awful.
You were saying that
you didn't enjoy it.
Needs to be called out.
Yeah.
I appreciated you saying that, because very few people in the radio, TV allow that.
Yes.
Now, regarding another issue, 3 years ago, I used to listen to LBC radio. I never listen to it now, by the way.
Right.
And I listened to it when they had a conversation about the issue of homosexuality. And they attacked any Christian who believed that homosexuality was a sin according to the Bible. So I phoned up Mr. Nick Ferrari to express my opinion as a Christian. Just my opinion. They were asking for opinions.
And what did Ferranti say?
Anybody who supported homosexuality allowed them free speech to put their opinion forward. And then when I come on, he asked me, do you believe homosexuality is a sin? That was an honest question, and I gave him an honest answer. I replied that sodomy is sinful. It is sinful for a man to penetrate the anus of another man.
You don't have to, we know what it is, but the thing is, you're literally right. It is a sin in the Christian Bible to do that.
It's the Jewish Bible.
Don't say it again, what it is. Yeah, it's the Jewish Bible.
It's not the Christian Bible.
Well, all right, the Jewish one, but it is literally a sin. It's not an opinion. That's factually in that book,
correct.
if you believe
That's
that.
Correct.
That's right. Asher's right, because what you can say is you can say.
Yes, he did say anus.
You are perfectly welcome to say that the Bible is nonsense, but you can't say that the Bible doesn't say it's a sin.
Of course, correct. Now listen.
There's that Pet Shop Boys song.
Now, today in today's situation, anybody who doesn't accept homosexuality and sodomy and believe it's immoral, we are cut off and banned, and we're called homophobic. We're not homophobic. I don't hate homosexuals.
You love them, don't you, Ken? You love them and you pray for them.
And I tell them about Jesus. I don't judge them. We're all sinners.
But you've got vicars and that now that are gay, don't you? You have that and...
That's why the Church of England has now gone down the tubes.
Well, when Peter Thatcher went to the Vatican City, he said at night it was the biggest gay collection of people that since Gay Pride he'd seen. Apparently, when the Catholics come off, all rules go out the window.
The Roman Catholic Church is the second biggest religious cult in the world. The first biggest is Islam. Roman Catholicism is the second biggest.
Which one's bigger? Is Islam bigger than by membership?
That's a fact.
Is it?
And the next
what's your problem with Catholics?
Freemasonry. Freemasonry is also a cult. You need to get out of that, Andre. You need to get out of that cult.
Can't. It's too far. It's too deep. What's wrong with it?
What is wrong with Freemasonry?
You're always having a go at the Freemasons. Come on, let's have it out.
Right. Oh, yeah. We spoke about this before. I told you that the Freemasons worship the god of Hinduism. The chief god is Om.
Do you, Andre? He says he doesn't.
Hinduism have got
Are you a Hindu?
Over 3,000 false gods, and the chief god is called Om. Now, when you're not allowed to speak about Jesus in the Freemasons' lodge, correct?
You're not allowed to speak about religion or politics, no.
Yeah,
he's flanneling, isn't he? I think you've got him on the ropes,
You're not allowed to speak the name of Jesus. You're not allowed to speak about Jesus.
You're not allowed. You're not specifically banned from talking about Jesus.
Of course you are.
There's a ban on religion and politics.
Come on, be honest now, Andre. You know that the Freemasonry don't believe Jesus Christ is God.
But I mean, you make an interesting point, Kate, but let Andre answer, because it's either a fact or it's not. So
yeah, give him his room. Answer the question.
Very simple. Ken's asked the question. Can you speak about religion or Jesus in particular?
Freemasonry is a series of mythical stories based on the Old Testament. That is what it is. But effectively, what it is you get together and you have these ceremonies which are all hocus pocus, but it's effectively it's similar to the trade guilds of the City of London, like the Worshipful Company.
They were very good builders,
of stonemasons or whatever. There isn't one that's but
Andre, why are you a part of it then if it's hocus pocus?
Because it's fun, isn't it? It's quite hard to explain, but I don't think anybody. Well, I'm happy to answer.
Go on, answer. Well, Ken, he's going to answer what you said, why he's a member of it. Let him answer that.
But I mean, look, I'm the worshipful master of a Masonic lodge that meets in Great Queen Street. I can tell you some of the answers. The answer actually is that in reality, the stories are mythical, but they're supposed to illustrate how you should be moral in life. So the first story is about the building of the Temple of Jerusalem, and the second one is about the people but it goes on.
But it's Old Testament, so it wouldn't have Jesus in, would it?
But also, and this is the thing about any secretive society, which is what happens, and people say about the magic circle, it's a society of secrets. People put their own sort of prejudices onto that sort of side. What the Masons do, I'm not a Freemason, but I know lots of people who are. What they do tremendous work for charity.
Yeah, 13 million a year for charity.
Fantastic. And that's what we should focus on. Are you happy with that answer, Ken?
No. We don't focus on that if we believe in God. We don't focus on good works. We're all sinners.
But you believe, Ken, can I ask you this?
Getting aggressive.
Ken, can I ask you this?
You're talking nonsense. The Bible is about Jesus Christ, the Messiah.
No, but Ken, can I ask you this question?
Death and resurrection.
Not the Old Testament.
Ken, can I ask you this question? Because there are two things. Look, it's perfectly possible that I'm deluded, and I don't have a problem with that. But then there's the other thing, that I'm a liar. Do you believe literally that I know Freemasonry to be satanic and nonetheless continue to do it?
You're foolish. It is satanic. It is from the pits of hell. You brought a curse upon yourself when you joined the Freemasonry. You're cursed. You're a cursed man. You brought a curse on your life and your family. You need to get prayed for. You need to repent and come out of that.
But he has accepted Jesus. So what's the rule say there about getting to heaven? If he accepts Jesus and is a Freemason, what's that?
But then you've got to come out of these sinful cults. Andre, I'm talking in love to you, Andre.
I know, but I genuinely, I promise you, rightly or wrongly, I do not believe I'm worshipping the Hindu satanic god. I genuinely don't believe I'm doing that.
You check it out, man, and you'll find out you're not worshipping the God of the Bible, that's for sure. And the Bible is Jewish, it's not Christian.
Well, the Old Testament is
all Jewish, Old Testament and New Testament, all written by Jews.
But just be really clear on this, Ken, because it's such an important thing where Andre's made a couple of points where we can work out what you're disagreeing with him. He says they're not allowed to discuss religion at all in the Masons or politics. The other thing he's saying is that you can be a Christian or a Jew or whatever you want to be and a Mason at the same time. Is that a fair summary?
You have to be a one God religion.
There's actually you have to believe in one God, and actually in some orders you are required to be a Christian.
Okay, there you go.
You couldn't actually be a Hindu then because you have more than one God.
No, so what? Just
the irony of it.
Just dealing with those 2 points, then, Ken. Andre is a Mason. He's telling you what actually happens because he's a Mason. He witnesses it. Yeah. What's your response to that?
I believe he's deluded, as he said. He's a deluded.
Oh, we all know that.
Well, let me reply. You asked me a question. I believe Andre is deluded. I believe that every person in the Masonry is deluded by the devil, deceived by the devil. And I believe those in the Catholic Church who pray to Mary and believe in christening to become a Christian are deluded by the devil. To become a Christian, we have to repent of our sins to the God of the Bible, believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, turn from sin and believe in Jesus. Then go and get baptized.
Okay, Ken, thank you very much. Well, I have to say, I'm a Catholic Freemason, so I am pretty much buggered. More next.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile, the home of common sense.
I love the guts for talk. Obviously, Oli hasn't got them anymore because he went to the Philippines to have them removed.
Some of them removed.
But I like
You're on there!
It was good. I know, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, right, okay.
I love this thing. So I was listening to the trailer. So first time I've heard it. Have you got the guts for talk? But Oli obviously hasn't.
OK, let's go to Terry in Dover. Terry, you're on
Hello,
talk.
Terry.
Good evening, Andre and Ash.
All right, tell. Andrew's here.
Hey.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I've come rather late to the programme tonight, and the first person I encountered was dear old Ken, and he does tend to drive me mad. I'm sorry, Ken.
But he loves you. He loves you. You're going to hell. You're going to die, but he loves you.
Well, he loves everybody, doesn't he? Of course, he loves thy neighbour and all the rest of it. Sorry, Andre, are you talking pretty much exclusively about religion? Because you're not. Okay.
Not really.
No, we were talking. To be honest with you, Ken was also commenting about the grooming gangs, about the fact that we have to be much more honest about the backgrounds to the grooming gangs, that there is something related to the Pakistani community, there is something related to the Muslim community. Now, I don't know whether that is uncontrolled immigration or whether it's something from the cultural background or whether it's racism or whatever, but we do need to address that issue. So that's something we've been talking about. Obviously, we've been talking about fast-track NHS for asylum seekers and illegal immigrants, which drive people mad.
What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, sorry. Well, it's basically just broadly about religion. On the question about the grooming gangs, and you say whether it's to do with immigration or a cultural thing. My first instinct there when you said that was the fact that, I mean, you know, in that religion, they do tend to be fairly flexible with women folk, don't they? They can treat them badly.
Well, the intention of Islam is to define the role of women and protect them, not necessarily to put them down. I mean, there's nothing. Whatever way you look at it, there's nothing in Islam that says that you should, rape a young girl with a broken glass bottle. Yeah, I mean, and so that's where I feel quite sorry for sensible and moderate Muslims. Not ordinary people.
Yeah, and to be fair, as you say, this is abhorrent. The people who do this, and the fact that they happen to be from one particular religion or whatever it is, doesn't mean that everybody from that religion is
exactly that.
Also, and I don't know if you agree with me on this. I think the euphemism, and it's a euphemism, calling it a grooming gang as opposed to rape, torture group.
Child rape gangs.
And this is what, if you read some of the abhorrent recounting of what's actually happened to these
the individual cases really highlight it.
So I think we should stop calling them grooming gang because that sounds all fluffy and a euphemistic thing. It's a rape torture gang.
Well, Terry, before you respond to that, let me just say to you, part of the reason they're called grooming gangs is because a lot of this was driven on social media, and on social media things like rape and sexual abuse and whatever are prohibited by the algorithms, even if you're making quite a sensible comment. And so that's part of the reason why these euphemisms exist.
They've been going on longer than social media.
Sorry, Terry, please continue.
Yeah, sorry, you throw me a bit there, Andre, because you come out with so much stuff there in your debate. But...
Are you all discombobulated, Terry?
Yeah, well, slightly.
I don't know what we're going to do.
Slightly, but no, I mean...
Calm down, it's all right, breathe.
Yeah, I appreciate what you say there, but there is obviously a certain amount of subjugation in that community with women, arranged marriages. You know, there's a different ethic there, isn't there? There's different cultural ethic there.
Certain parts, in certain people.
It does tend to go that way. And, I mean, why do you think that it's particularly, the Pakistani men then? I mean, are they just completely disrespectful of women?
Well, it could be that it's got nothing to do with Pakistan, it's got nothing to do with Islam, and it's got something to do with a closed ethnic community that has no respect, no time, and no interaction with their white neighbours. I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm saying that, first of all, we should have this proper investigation to find out. But I will tell you, I'm not so sure that these grooming gangs would take place in Pakistan. I think part of it is that we've got these closed communities and that there is no value attached to being supportive or respectful of your white neighbours.
Yeah, it just reminds me, Andre, there was a case fairly recently, wasn't there? And all the, I think it was in India, all women were up in arms, they were protesting because this girl was raped by a gang of men out there. Do you remember that one?
They do have a problem in India. They call it eve teasing, and groups of men will, just grope women. They do have a problem. Women's rights in India, it's terrible.
Really? Oh, right.
Yeah.
I mean, in Islam, the reason why they say that women should go out with members of their family is because they are concerned about it being a bit like the Wild West out there.
Just coming on the religion point of view, I mean, it's a difficult one, isn't it? But I mean, my view is, you know, the church has got so much money, they invest so much money. If they were really concerned about the poor...
Yeah, they're not, are they?
They would, you know, their church land, for example, a church near me.
Well, one of the big problems you have with organised religion, particularly Christians and Jews and Muslims, because they believe that redemption is in heaven, they're not necessarily particularly compelled to take action here on earth. I mean, this was the complaint of Mother Teresa of Calcutta. Her principal interest was the spiritual support for the dying rather than actually changing poverty in the city of Calcutta.
Christopher Hitchens said she was a wrong one.
Yeah, well, and that was Christopher Hitchens' criticism. And to be fair, from Mother Teresa's point of view, saving people spiritually in the last few days of their life was a valuable thing. What Christopher Hitchens said she should do is try and raise the poor out of poverty in Calcutta, which was less of an interest to her because she just didn't see. She saw your life on earth as a test to decide whether you go into heaven or not. If you think of it like that, then inherently you aren't interested in social change. I would suggest.
It feels like a bit of a mental illness, that type of thinking, doesn't it? Really, I mean, you know, you how can you complete that?
Well, one of them's got to be right. Thanks anyway, Terry. Nice one.
Thanks a lot, Terry. Really interesting.
Terry, Patrick is in Weston-super-Mare. Patrick, you are on talk.
Hello, Patrick.
All right, Pat.
How you doing, Andre? How you doing, fucking Ash and Andrew?
That is actually my whole name. How do you know that?
Yeah, well...
My first name is...
Patrick, do you know what somebody was saying the other day? Not all the callers are doing dry January, are they?
Well, I'm starting Monday. I thought it was...
He thought it was still December. He's so drunk. It's wet January for... Yeah.
Serious, actually, I'm not.
Of course you're not. What is it anyway, Pat? How can we be of service?
I just wanted to talk to you. I want to talk to the barrister.
Yes.
And is it Andrew?
£500 an hour.
That's per minute.
What's that, £5? I'll get a discount then.
I'll give you a discount. I'm feeling good.
And first of all, I want to, because your man Terry and Ken and whatever was going on about the grooming gangs. I can tell you straight, and I sent a couple of texts in earlier on the WhatsApp thing.
Yeah.
And I can tell you straight, and they say it's up the north and Rochdale and wherever else, Romford, I don't know, wherever.
Yeah.
But Birmingham is the biggest plague, and you got London and whatever. This is just about to come out. Like I said, yes.
Well, I thought that. I've got friends in Birmingham who say things are going on in Birmingham, and we're not hearing anything about it. They say it's going back. We're not hearing certain towns.
What I love, you make such a good point. What I love, and all the tweets and all the people saying, look, thank goodness that people are speaking about it in the media. Thank goodness we're doing that on Talk.
Well, mainly in social media and on Talk.
And that sort of stuff. And you're right to sort of highlight this, because there's going to be so much more coming out. And when people hear about it, and they say it's okay to talk about it, we're not labelling anybody as racist or any other bits and pieces. All we want is the truth.
Yeah, that's right. But the best thing about it, when we talk about race, it's like the pyramid scheme. What I was saying in my WhatsApp thing.
Yes.
We're talking. It's not just what it is, and I'll tell you straight. It is the Muslims who's doing it. I've seen it firsthand, and like I says, I had problems, and that's why I'm down Western. Yeah. So
you left Birmingham to go to Western. What problems did you have in Birmingham?
Well, I had drug problems, and I've done my best to I had an addiction, and I sorted out.
But you can't talk about them, or what?
Oh, I can talk about my drug problems.
What problems did you have? What, in Birmingham you had to leave Birmingham?
No, I didn't. No, I never left. I went into rehab in Western, and I've been down here ever since.
Why didn't you go back after?
And because 30 years of addiction, I know if I went back...
You get back into it, yeah.
Is it because Birmingham's so depressing?
Well, it is now compared to 30 years ago, isn't it, Pat? Have you been down there lately?
Yeah.
It's horrendous.
Trust me. And it's like, trust me. And I was looking at the Stratford Road the other day, and I think I'll text you on this one as well. about the no-go zones. The one about the no-go zones, the Muslims years ago. Ash, you probably remember this.
I know it very well, that area. Yeah, I don't know where the curry belt, basically.
Yeah. And
the Balti belt, that's what they call it.
Yeah, 20 years ago, the Muslims put a stop. After 6 o'clock, you could not go down their roads.
Well, they had I don't know about that, but they had a similar thing in London. They had people and they had, two men kissing and a red line through it, and, if girls would get...
Yeah, so they were saying there was certain parts of the East End where they put up signs saying this is a Muslim area, no gay people, no miniskirts and no dogs.
Yeah, that's right. The same thing. They say that years ago, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish and all that.
Yeah, but that was the white people.
That was just racist.
Yeah, but now, our own country, and it's... And like I say, I could get on to the illegal immigrants and what's coming over here. And we all know they're all soldiers coming over here.
Well, not all of them, but they are of military age.
Let me tell you. Let's be fair-minded. No, let's be fair-minded. Only 60% of immigrants from Syria believe that homosexuality should be punished by death. Only 60%. Oh, you old softies. Let's have the award for the old softies.
That's actually better than the British young ones, isn't it?
This is where we're going next. Because you saying that, there's nothing wrong with homosexuality or whatever you want to be.
But this is the criticism.
I don't agree with the plus 25, plus Z and plus Q, and it puts...
But this is...
and the plus P now,
But the reality is, thank you so much, Patrick. The big problem you have is no, I don't want to single one person out, but I will. Dilly Hussein and his gang from Five Pillars, what they believe is using the ballot box to bring in radical Islam into the United Kingdom. So they would ban homosexuality in line with Sharia law, but they would not force it in a revolution. They would actually do it through the ballot box. I remember, funnily enough, what's her name? Glenda Jackson's son, Dan Hodges. We did a debate that Dilly Hussein organised, and he whispered in my ear, I think he's more dangerous than the terrorists, simply because that he is determined to use democratic methods to push Sharia law onto Britain.
And it's so important, going back to the point we've said throughout this programme, it's so important that we debate it in a proper way. What I love about having the calls is that you have somebody's view, but you can also challenge them in the same way. And I think this is the great thing about it. And just as we said beforehand, that obviously certain people are doing these horrible rape torture gangs, it's not every Muslim. And what I would like to see is some of the very senior Muslims calling it out.
Yes.
Because wouldn't that be so powerful as a message where we talk about that sort of side?
The lead. I mean, I remember. I'll just give this example before we go. When there was the attack on the Ariana Grande concert, I phoned up a friend of mine, a Muslim woman, and I said, get down there and do the bloody press conference.
Yes.
Because what we had was Taliban Tony out as usual, and what's the first thing he says? This is very embarrassing for Islam. We're very upset about this. Now, what they should have said was this. They should have said, last night, the city of Manchester came under attack. Everyone in this community is pulled together.
Yes.
Since that time, every member of our community that drives a taxi has been working for free.
Yeah.
We've completed the operation of taking every young person home. That has taken us 15 hours to do it because some people have had to go a significant journey. All takeaways associated with this religious institution have remained open to offer free food and drink to the security services, the police and the young people who were stranded. We have now handed over every document about any worshipper to support the police in this counter-terrorism operation, and we are deeply concerned that we were not warned that a dangerous extremist was in our midst. However, we banned him. We will have further updates. Kaboom!
Absolutely. So control the narrative. This is exactly what we're saying, and I think way you're not pandering to the prejudice.
Exactly, because actually what was relevant... Oh, and the other thing they could have said was this. Did you know this about your local mosque?
Yes.
Do you know, with Salman Abedi, they refused to give him a funeral or bury him. They said all terrorists go to hell, so there's no point in doing a funeral.
And that
never gets out.
So this is where we would want people to absolutely talk about it. Because then we can stop the prejudice, we can stop the hatred, and focus on the people who deserve that hatred.
But what happens is, big old bloke with a beard, with the heaviest Pakistani accent you can hear, which I won't impersonate, stands up and goes, this is very embarrassing to Islam, which, of course, people watching at home go, well, with respect, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, more next.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
OK, Andre Walker in for James Whale, starring Ashley Gould.
That's better.
OK, we're here with Andrew Eborn, and what we're going to do is we've got two callers lined up there, Robert and Jason. Robert in Hertfordshire and Jason in Walsall. I don't invite you to comment. And what we're going to do is we're going to hand them over to Andrew Eborn, who's going to do a psychic reading for them.
Because he's a futurist like Mystic Meg
So
was.
Robert and Jason both go live. Come on, Andrew will take over.
Robert and Jason, first of all, we've never met before, have we?
Yeah, we met this morning.
Yeah, right. So, Robin, what I want you to do, we've got a prediction. Yasmin came on last time I was on here last week, and she made a prediction. So I came on today with a prediction, which we're going to try and do. And we'll start with you, Robert. Give me cards come in two colours. Is it red or black? Give me red or black.
Red.
OK, red. Jason? Is it Jason?
OK, Jason, go on.
Jason, you've got red cards. Is it a heart or a diamond?
Heart.
You're going for a heart. OK. Andre, is it a high or low heart?
It's a high.
A high heart. OK. And that, as you can, there's a high heart. So you've got, I want to finish with one of them.
What's going on? What's going on,
What's a high heart? Give us a high heart, Robert.
A jack.
A jack of hearts, OK? So jack of hearts. It's really important we haven't named anything. Throughout this whole programme, I've had a pack of cards on the table. We can do a close-up of this, make it really, really easy. So we come out here, and you've got this sort of stuff. We get rid of the joker. There's a joker over there like that. If I spread out the cards like this, have a look, nice and all the way through here, you'll see that all the cards are facing one way apart from one card.
Yes.
Apart from one card, independently and completely separately, you came up with a card. You could have picked the hearts or diamonds, whatever.
And
you came up with the Jack of Hearts, and that is the Jack of Hearts.
Doesn't
Tis the Antichrist.
And it works well. That's what special for Ken.
Thanks, guys. That's the magic for tonight. Let's get back to
doesn't work for radio particularly. Jason, wait for a second. Robert, you're through to talk.
All right, Bob.
Hello, Robert.
Happy New Year to all of you, first of all.
Thanks, man. And you too.
I can't believe that everybody's jumping up and down now about Muslim grooming gangs. There's a man in prison now, as we speak, who's been going on about Muslim grooming gangs for the last few years.
Correct.
I'm not going to mention his name. You know who he is.
No, you can say Tommy Robinson.
We've been talking about Tommy all night.
We've known about the grooming gangs for 25 years.
Rape torture gangs.
Well, yeah, Mark, I've got a cousin. She's part of Tommy's inner circle, really. I've met him several times. But I'm not a particular supporter, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but Robert, can I tell you what annoys me about all of this? When people go, you have to be either a supporter or not a supporter. My view is, this man has raised a series of extremely important points about discrimination, about apartheid states in Luton, about de facto bans on interracial relationships, about grooming gangs, about violence and uncontrolled immigration. I don't care for going on a protest, and I'm not bothered whether he's a fraudster or not. I want to know whether he's right or wrong, and I want the problems investigated.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, I've done some research. Even Google are sort of telling lies now. I've done some research the other day. I tried to Google how many mosques there is in the UK. First of all, it said there was 1,500 mosques, but it could be as many as 3,000.
Can I explain something to you, Robert?
What is that?
Robert, can I explain something to you that's really stupid, but is really, really important? Right, so there's a big debate about what constitutes a mosque and what constitutes a community centre with a prayer room. Right. The reason why a lot of mosques are called community centres with prayer rooms is because one of the biggest objections to a mosque being established in a particular area is parking during Friday prayers. And so what tends to happen is they don't get planning permission for a mosque. Instead, they get planning permission for a community centre with a prayer room. Right. That's why it's quite hard to know the numbers.
That's a loophole.
Now, that isn't necessarily an attempt to to get to. It isn't an attempt to play the system. It's more to do with requirements for parking on Fridays.
But it's so easy to solve, isn't it? Because what you do is say exactly that. You say, this is how we define a mosque.
Yes.
This is how many there are. But you say your family's very close to Tommy. One of the things that they're saying about Tommy, and if he has visitors, they now all have to sign an NDA.
Yeah, what's that all about?
So, and as I say, it raises a suspicion as to what happens. Has your person who's very close, have they visited Tommy in prison?
Yeah, well, it's a girl. She's on the phone to him 2 or 3 times a week. She hasn't visited him. No.
Right. How's he doing? Can I ask, how's he doing? Because a lot of people are worried about him, because obviously the conditions that we hear from those who do report is that it's pretty horrendous there.
Yeah, well, I think it was worse the last time he was in prison a few years ago. What happened was, if you remember, he went to court to try and interview a grooming gang. They'd already been convicted. Now they was going back to be sentenced. Him, along with the BBC, Channel 4, Sky News, he went to approach them to interview them. He was arrested straight away. He was taken to court that afternoon. He was actually in Belmarsh prison.
Robert, can I just stop you there and just explain one thing to you?
Yeah.
He talked to them on the way into the prison rather than the way out.
Right.
Into the court rather than the way out, which was the bone of contention at the time.
And I think this is why it's so important, because people, and you make such great points, and why it's so important to have your call. But it's people understand, they don't understand why Tommy's in jail. And it's all talking about contempt of court and the defamation action, which
is a civil offence.
Which is a civil offence, which he lost. And people will argue about the evidence and so on and so forth. And what they're talking about is the right of people to enforce, effectively, contempt of court, and where that happens, what the punishment should be. And those who oppose what's happened with Tommy say, look, 18 months in jail for contempt of court is too much. What's your view?
Well, yeah, I think it's too much. The thing is, as well, is that he was ostracised as a racist straight away. If you know, and what's happened is nobody's been allowed to speak out against Muslim grooming gangs. It don't even make the newspapers now.
Well, it does at the moment. It's like front pages.
At the moment,
but it hasn't historically.
Well,
yeah, of course.
Going on for 25 years.
That's why it needs to blow up, doesn't it?
And we're going to continue talking. This is what we said throughout this programme. We're going to continue shining a spotlight on this until the issue is, and so many questions to be asked, why people have buried it effectively.
Well, it's still going on as well.
By the way, Robert, we're going to have to go now, but in addition to what we do on this show and on this channel, Andrew, what's your channel called?
I run Octopus TV. You can join me on the Andrew Eborn show. Go now.
It's not just for octopuses.
And I've interviewed lots of people connected with Tommy. We've had Lawrence Fox in, who's been on that sort of side. Go to YouTube now. You'll see Octopus TV.
No, don't go now.
After the show. The Andrew Eborn show. Do sign up, because we want to get people on who are going to talk about this thing.
Okay.
But it's so important.
My channel has some really interesting stuff about Tommy Robinson from the inner circle of his team. That's at Andre Walker, at Virtual Ash.
At Virtual Ash. I ain't got a YouTube, but Twitter is where I do all my... X is where I do all my...
Great. All right. We're going to talk to Jason straight after the break.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on the app, on your mobile. The home of common sense. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk. What a great show. Not as good as if James was here, but I hope we've held our end up a little bit. OK, let's go to Jason in Walsall. Jason, you're on Talk.
Hi, Jason.
How you doing, guys? You right?
Yeah, good to see you.
All right, JJ.
Yeah, I've got my issue is I'm concerned about the rise of the far right in this country.
Right.
I mean, I drive from like Coventry to Glasgow 5 nights a week.
Yep.
And I meet a lot of people, and I'd say 80% of them people have all got really extreme views, and like it's quite worrying. I mean, I ain't got nothing against Muslims. My biggest what problem is with the governments that we've had.
Yeah.
And they've let things get out of control.
So I mean, obviously, we've had a problem in this country, which is that you've got governments failing the public, and people will take out their anger on somebody. Now, I think that, first of all, the government's failed, and that's a problem. I think also there's been too much immigration, but there's no doubt that the way things have gone, the trajectory has turned nasty. I mean, when you say people have got very extreme views, without offending the taste and decency, you know, are they basically neo-Nazis?
Oh, more or less, the P word comes out, the M word comes out, everything like, you know, and it's stuff that I ain't heard for years.
But are these people who wouldn't have been like that and have sort of become like that? Because
see, that's what I'm saying. I've been doing this run now for 9 years. Yeah. And it's only been the last year, and I've known most of these people for that 9 years, and I've never heard them say them words before all this has started.
So it's causing problems, like we were saying earlier.
It is, and we're living in such a divisive world at the moment. And what's good, I mean, at the same time, it's important that we do shine a spotlight on things like the rape torture gangs, but not to say that everybody from that particular religion are rape torturists. And I think if you look at that, then people don't get frustrated.
But I think, Andrew, it's the suppression of the truth. So that, you know, they always say it's the cover up that kills you. Yeah. I think that it's the suppression of the truth that's caused the anger that Jason's talking about, and that anger is a problem.
No, and you're right, Jason, as well. And the other thing as well, though, people are very quick to use the label far right when sometimes there are legitimate concerns. Do you think it's right, Jason, that we are talking about the rape torture gangs and shining a spotlight on it?
Yeah, I think we should do, and it should be brought up and these people exposed and put in prison.
Yes, and do you think, thank you for that, Jason, do you also think that the way we've handled it tonight, dealing with sensitivities, because we don't want to inflame prejudice against Muslims or whatever it is, but rather the abhorrent behaviour of this small group of people, the rape torture gangsters?
Yeah, I mean, when I listen to Talk every night when I'm on the road, and I don't hear any racist from any of the presenters or anything like that. You know, it's all dealt with like very sensitively. You know, and I think it has to be dealt with that way.
And thank you for that. It's got to be right.
Can I just ask you a question? I know this sounds like a stupid thing. If everybody that you know is now sort of really, the blood's boiling over all this, and they've perhaps become racist in a way they weren't a few years ago, what has left you immune? Why do you feel differently?
Yeah, because, I mean, you're in Walsall. I know Walsall has changed irreversibly in the last 20, 30 years.
I'd class myself as far right. I would now. You know,
you class yourself as far right, yeah.
I don't go around calling people bad names, you know what I mean? I work with Muslims as well in Coventry. I work at the logistics centre.
So you've always been somebody who might be an EDL supporter or something like that.
Yeah, I've got a lot of respect for Tommy Robinson because I don't want to class him as a racist.
But he's not far right, is he?
No, but I know myself. We've all been given that tag of far right. If they want to call me far right, then I'm far right.
Oh, I see what you mean.
I see, right. So you're not,
but that's the point, isn't it? And normally what they do, they use that to shut up an argument.
Yes.
And
well, they did it after the riots, didn't they? And how could you know what their political views were?
You dismiss everybody. It's like you're saying it's a conspiracy theory. It's a far-right theory or whatever. So what do you think makes somebody far right? Sorry, what do you think makes somebody far right then? What's the proper definition?
What makes somebody far right?
Yeah.
Definition. Opinions on what they don't like by another culture.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean. But that's what it means now. Yeah, you're right in a way. But that isn't.
Jason, sorry,
Andre. My trouble is right. The more that the government, whatever, is silencing people, the more underground it's going to go.
Yes.
You know, and that's what's worrying.
But when you the things that you described, look, people will use coarse language. I accept that. But I suspect that you and I have got very similar views in the sense that we want Britain to be a homeland for the British.
Yes.
We want to have a tolerant country. We want to be intolerant of intolerance. So when somebody wants to go out, I mean, I asked the Metropolitan Police why homophobic hate crime was increasing in East London only, and of course they wouldn't give me an answer. We all knew what the answer was: uncontrolled immigration. But I don't think that makes me a nutter or an extremist. No. I think what's happened is our government has vilified us for their own political reasons, and their political reasons are they want uncontrolled immigration.
Yeah, you're right. It's smart. I wouldn't say hatred, but it seems to be hatred more so is towards our government and the Tories that was in before, because they've done nothing whatsoever about it. Like with the Brexit as well. And I don't know whether it was on last night's show or you said it, Andre, about how the governments are scared when they want Brexit because it exposed them how weak they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They couldn't handle it. They couldn't deal with that sort of pressure.
We don't live in a democracy anymore, and that was proven by Brexit.
No, and it's also got to be. I think it's also got to be right that we don't just label anybody with a view. I don't know anybody who would speak up for the rape torture gangs, and that's not a political thing. It's not saying you're left or right or whatever it is. It's abhorrent behaviour, and as soon as we start focusing on that, you can get away from people just labelling everybody accordingly.
Yeah.
All right, well, Jason, thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for listening, and enjoy your run to Glasgow. Brian is in Coventry. Hello, Brian. You're on Talk.
Hello there. Nice to speak to both of you. What shall I say? My gripe really is the amount of time that Ken gets on each week.
I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. Thanks, Brian. No, I'm only joking. Sorry. Carry on. Sorry, Brian.
Giving us what would have been called in the 50s the fundamental gospel. We know ourselves that we label ourselves a Christian country, although we have 26 bishops sitting in the House of Commons, in the House of Lords, and claiming, expenses every day. And what we're finding, and what I'm finding when I go home from here, Coventry to Wales, that there are more churches that are closed than are open. Yes, there are great evangelical churches.
Yes.
The only growing churches in this country are the Pentecostal churches in great numbers. And what I feel is that people will and do confess on some sheet that they are Christian, but have no understanding of what Christian means, and that is from the 4- and 5-year-olds in schools who have no idea about the faiths at all. And I'm not ringing up to criticize Ken, but it's just the very nature of the old-fashioned style that he's putting across.
And what's really important, and I think this is, you started out by saying it's that Ken had too much time. The reality is we've also taken the call from you, and what I love about Talk is that this is a platform for everybody. We're not coming with any prejudices and saying we're not going to give you a voice. You absolutely have a voice. And what I liked about Ken's call as well, he made certain accusations against Andre, which when we drilled down...
We found out they were all true.
Well, turned out to be inaccurate.
But here's something that you're driving at, Brian, and I'll tell you why we give Ken so much time. And this is for me. Look, the reality is we don't stand up for our traditions, we don't stand up for our religion, we don't stand... And Ken does that. I don't agree with a great deal of what Ken says, but I have to say, you know, if there were more people like him, I think Britain would be a better place.
Yeah,
and I suppose my question to you, Brian, is how do we infect ordinary British people who've been so beaten into the floor with a sense of enthusiasm about their history, their religion, their culture and their country's achievements?
You've got 30 seconds.
Yeah, they just don't understand the basics of it, and it comes from the fact that people are
10 seconds
looking at the church, that the church is dead in this country, and a lot of it goes back to the fact that the Bible needs to be looked at,
updated, doesn't it? Yeah, needs. Thank you there. Thanks, Brian. Let's go to Tony in Hornchurch. We got the gift. We got the basics of it. Tony.
Hello, Tony.
How are you, my son?
All right, man.
My son, go for it.
We only got about a minute.
Go for it, Tony. What would you like to say?
All right, we'll go on a quick one.
Yeah,
right, so I was watching Paul Thorpe earlier, and he was very...
I was meant to be on that show, I couldn't make it.
30
yeah,
seconds.
he was very, very agonised.
We only got 30 seconds.
Right, gentlemen.
Yeah.
We've got to change this.